welcome to another exciting show. And very soon, Food for Thought Radio should be joining us in about a minute's time. But in the meantime, guests will be coming along a little bit later because people can't join us straight away. So for about half an hour or so, you've just got me and Jeremy the ironing board, and Fred the plant. And so you got to tolerate me for a while. So I'm just sort of padding out a little bit until.
Wake up your mind, fill up your day. Oink, oink. Smart little vibes that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio. Here at FFTradio.com. Club Moo, oink!
There we are. Well, welcome to Food for Thought Radio, and we're also live on YouTube, Rumble, Soapbox or Radio Soapbox, Holand Radio FM, and I'm sure there's a few other ones that I've forgotten. On Facebook as well, and it's a bit flaky whether I'm actually on Odyssey or not. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, but that's the way it goes. And I'm hoping to be on Gab, going live on Gab soon. What on earth is going on? My computer's going bonkers here. But yes, I'm hoping to be on Gab pretty soon. I am already on there, and the details are below in the description. And now, most of the time, though, I'm using Telegram. And if anybody wants to come into the studio and join us tonight, there's a link on the advert on my Telegram channel and on my Facebook channel, which is Fockham Hall. So, you'll be most welcome to join us. Now, what I was going to say is tonight's theme is Pantomime of Fear. Now, all the time I was growing up as a child, it was the Cold War. Yes, we're going to be griddled alive. It was very close to war. Or this could be Armageddon in the next couple of hours, and all that bovine excrement. And I'm actually beginning to wonder that who decides what is news, because the news Reuters is owned by the Rothschilds, and newspapers and the mainstream media get all their news, in inverted commas, from the Rothschilds, Reuters. So to me, it seems like a pantomime, a total pantomime. But before we go any further, I'll welcome everybody in chat. We got DJ B2, and good evening, DJ. Hello. We've got Mike Mantis. Evening, folks. We've got Mike Mantis saying, yes, Jeremy Irons, that's right, Jeremy Irons, the ironing board behind it. It's all right, things are back to front of this camera, so I've got to point the wrong side, And Baby with a Laser, hi all. Hello, everyone. And that's it. Now, and there's more going to join us in chat soon. Now, I've been looking into this idea is, why is it the so-called truth movement is so absolutely bloody useless? Hang on a minute. Yes, DJB2 says, I forgot about that. The two-finger salute for any politician or celebrity of your choice that you dislike. And DJB2, thank you for reminding me. Can I have fingers up for Alex Karp of Plantier? Very wise choice, Technologies, for creating the upcoming Al Panopticon, whatever it is. Yes. So, for the American version or for the British version. There we go. And I've got a little jingle that I might I've got ointment for it that I might play a little bit later, because I've been messing around with the AI. So there we go. Now, these people that put to us as heroes. Now, I'd like to play a little piece that I've got from the internet about a so called hero. And here it comes any moment now. Here we come, and I'll just share this. Hang on a minute. Is it being shared?
Want to see some more Mandela magic? I'm a South African, and I'm going to be quite frank. I'd like to tell you all about Nelson Mandela, the international statesman and hero who single handedly caused the end of apartheid and led South Africa to the bright rainbow nation future that doesn't exist. Having grown up during the abolishment of apartheid and during the height of the Mandela craze, I've always wondered why people so unquestionably just accept this idea that Mandela was a great man without looking at the fact that, well, he kind of wasn't.
Oh, what have we got here? I balls that one up, didn't I? But this chat goes on, and if you want to see the entire video, it's on my Telegram channel. So there we go, and the link to the Telegram channel is below here. And what he said is that what we've been told is a load of BS about Mandela. Well, I knew that most of the way along. And there's lots of other fake heroes, and the other one is George Bernard Shaw. Now, I did have a video lined up for him, but I've just accidentally deleted him and kept that other one going. So, oops. But George Bernard Shaw. Now, I went to Shaw's Corner, which is actually in Hertfordshire, which is not far from me, many years ago. And I'm very, very sort of hypersensitive when it comes to hang on a minute, Mike Major says, balls up number 2. Yes, I made a balls up there. I always make a balls up. I'm at a very difficult age. But yeah, bleeding adverts as well. But what I was going to say, I went to Shaw's Corner and I've never felt I wanted to get away from a place so much. It was, oh, and he's put up as a marvelous man, you know. I think he wrote Pygmalion, and but people don't know the dark side of him. And it's actually on YouTube as an interview with him, which I had lined up, which I ballsed up, in which he was a founder member of the Fabian Society, which was set up in 1884, which just happens to be 100 years before the novel, the novel 1984 was written in 1948, and it is believed that it was named it was 100 years anniversary of the founding of the Fabian Society. So that's the reason it was probably called 1984. But no, what I was going to say is that George Bernard Shaw said that every 5 to 7 years, people should go before a committee and actually appeal to them why they should keep living. And if they don't put a very good case over, then they're just done away with. Nice man, isn't he? I don't think. And when you consider, I mean, I've said this before, the architect of the NHS, William Beveridge, was second in command of the Eugenics Society, and the Eugenics Society has been changing its name throughout the years, and they believe in euthanasia. And as I say, the founder of the NHS, well, I say the founder, the architect of it, Beveridge, actually designed the NHS, and he was a firm supporter of euthanasia. Interesting, isn't it? And then the NHS was set up, and they welcomed the big boys, shall we say? I won't mention the word in case I'm cut off by or this video is taken down by YouTube, and systematically destroyed all details about natural medicine. So there we go. now the fact is that now Paul Green comes out with a good one here. He said, Shaw wanted us all to justify our existence or be humanely gassed. That's right, yes. He actually says that on an interview, which I had lined up, which I pressed the wrong button and destroyed it. Whoops. On a 1930s clicky and old fashioned interview that he did. And he actually, and now Sol Bullock's I like that one. Bernard was married to Beatrice Potter too, was he? I didn't know that. Blimey. Now we got here. Was it DJ B2 says elitists are usually pricks. Probably why Bill Gates is obsessed by giving a prick in the arm with his special brew. I like that one. That's brilliant. I like that. That's excellent. Thanks, DJ B2. But that's right. And well, hang on. So I didn't realise this, and this is Achmosay Branham. Yeah, it says David Attenborough is a eugenicist. Is he? I didn't know that. Yes. Now, Mark Mantis says, brings us back to farting inhumanely gassed. Yes. Well, I used to, when I was on the train to work, when I used to go by train to London, if I had some beans or something the day before, if I, shall we say, had a little indiscretion, the secret was is to look at, give a disgusting look. Remember, in full Russia to someone else. uh, but yes, and apparently Mark Mintis says you like to drink, did beverage? That's right. Yes, I like that one. Yes, but it's surprising the hidden side of these people. People like Nelson Mandela. Again, I've never ever I never liked him. I thought it was a load of BS what they're talking about, bovine excrement. And what that chap says, it's worth watching the interview. You see the other side that they don't show you, and it's all on film. It's not hearsay. It's not conspiracy. It's on film. So it's quite interesting. Now, Joan Goodall was also a eugenicist. DJ Beto says yes, she believed that. This idea that we're overpopulated is more bullshit because we're not. And the fact of the matter is we're declining. We're facing extinction. Yes, Africa and India, their birth rate is going up, but it's leveling off and it'll soon stop and start to go down. Because as I've said many times before, when electricity comes along and people become more middle class, they have less children. And when they have less children, of course, it declines in the population. Perfect example is Bangladesh. In 1970, I think the average worst person, and remember, I've said this before, and this is off the top of my head, and I had my notes in front of me before, and I haven't my notes in front of me, but I think it was in 1918. You can prove me wrong. I don't worry about that. So if I said differently before, please tell me. I think it was 5. The average woman had 5 children, 3 to 5 children in 1980. Now it's down to 1.5, and there's not enough children being born in Bangladesh to actually replace the population. And it's the same in Europe. We are depopulating very, very fast. So instead of so-called stupid governments saying, well, let's do something to boost the population up, no, they do even more to destroy the population because of this ridiculous idea that we're overpopulated when we're not, But now we got I think we call you Arch Mosay. Excuse me, I can't read the rest of your title. Read today that China has 1.4 million people. Is closer to 700,000. Yes. It may be. I'm pretty sure of that. Yes. Because they had a one-child policy, which they've had to stop because they realised they were depopulating too fast. And there was not many. I think it's a shortage of men. I know there was a shortage of men in Europe because of the 2 world wars, but I think there's a shortage. I know in Australia there's a shortage of women, And I think China has a shortage of men over there. So, fellas, if you're single, catch the next plane to China. That's if you like Oriental ladies. So there we go. But mind you, I actually saw uh, a half Orient. I think she must have been Vietnamese, half Vietnamese and half American. Boy, she was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And she was on a documentary where she was trying to she's trying to find her father because she found out she went back to Vietnam, and I think she was brought up by some English missionaries, Methodists. So she spoke English, but she couldn't speak Vietnamese, her own language, and she went back to Vietnam. And of course, there's people coming up to her, speaking to her in Vietnamese, and she couldn't understand a word of what they said. And it turns out, I think her mother had died, but she went to America to find her father, and he slammed the door on her face. Even though she made it clear that she didn't want money, she didn't want anything like that. She's quite, she's quite comfortable. It's very sad, when you get those situations, But oh yes, AN's. Oh, I like this one. Mike Mantis says ANC African Necklace Congress. Yes, this is what this chat goes on to say. How brutal they were to people in the towns, what they call them, the shanty towns and that. They put a tie around their neck and catch light to it. I mean, how vile can you get? I mean, that is absolutely yuck. Now, Mark Wanty says, shortage of pandas as well. Well, I think it was, as Clarkson said, he said, we should start eating them. Sorry if you're a vegetarian out there. If we start eating pandas, some sod somewhere will find a way of them breeding. So there we go. But they reckon that the reason pandas don't breed that well is because they changed their diet because they were meat eaters and they changed over to bamboo because the area where they lived. That's interesting, isn't it? And now I won't say the joke about eat shoots and leaves, but there we go. Now, what have we got? Now, Baby the Laser says, Alice Gorgeous, I was gas too when I was younger, shared a bedroom with 3 older brothers. Death by Dutch oven. Now, Richard says, Eric, your show yesterday was great. Yeah, but there's a lot of balls ups on it. But I was thinking about the chemtrails, if you remember. And by the way, thanks for putting it in capitals because I could sort of see it much clearer in chat when you got a question. If you remember back in the day, we had fumes coming. Oh yes, fumes coming out of cars and trucks, and we were all fine. But now we're all ill now. That's right. Yes. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the days. Thanks for bringing that up, mate. That's very kind of you. I mean, I remember the days when you walked down the road, we had diesel fumes, and you get a real burning, tingling in your throat because the fumes were so bad. Yeah, but they've cleaned all that up now. I mean, diesel vehicles now are so clean; it's incredible. And electric cars, to me, well, the battery cars are a bit of a bloody joke. They really are. But it's interesting what you're saying about chemtrails. I mean, I was hoping to get a chappie on who's looked into it and says there must be something up in the sky in the first place for them to do this. Quite interesting. But yes, I mean, when you look at for instance, rain, how dirty rain is, it's filthy. Yet we don't have when we had an industrial base and the rain was filthy from all the coal-fired houses and people burnt coal and there was smogs and things like that. But you would have thought the rain would have got cleaner, but it hasn't. It's still bleeding dirty, which is very strange. I mean, my car's filthy after it's rained, you know. Uh, oh dear, oh dear. Baby the Laser said, I once had a clown into cannibalism, eh? It tasted funny. Yes, I bet it did. now, the Jolly Man says here, uh, there are people still claiming it's contrails, but the government admit geoengineering. Yes, that's right. And I've actually seen, this is often happens, I don't know if you see them, a grey line going across the sky with like, you could actually see the like chemicals coming off of it. And it's really weird. And have you noticed the days start off nice and sunny, nice and warm, and then about midday, about lunchtime, over comes the clouds. We get this kind of milky sky, and it's either a kind of overcast where you see a kind of white sun, or it's just dull overcast, and that's it. Um, now we got Alice Gorgeous said my ex had a VW Golf that thought it was a red arrow. Well, when I went to Greece, I got a taxi because my cousin is English, but he lived in Greece, in Athens, you see, and I went over there to stay with him, and I met him at the airport, and this was I got a night flight, so it was in the early hours of the morning, and got a taxi, and this was many years ago, and the taxi had a blown exhaust, so all the way along the road you go, and by the time we got to me cousin's place, bloody Nora! I mean, talk about gas. I was all, I was already half asleep from flying for halfway through the night because being a tight-fisted you get a cheaper flight at night. uh, a baby with a laser said, "A bloke knocked on the door today with a beard. I didn't let her in." But no, seriously though, was this Jolly Man says here, uh, barium, strontium, Parkinson's, dementia. Yeah, that's right. Yes, and you think that's getting into our food? Um, DJ B2 says, I let the rain clean my car. It's usually splattered with bird poo as it's parked under a large tree. Yeah, I don't know what it is. What it is? Pigeons. I feed the pigeons. I don't think it is the pigeons, though. I think it's the crows. They like shitting across my windscreen. I don't know quite what it is about my windscreen that they like, but they like shitting across it. But that's life. Oh, a baby with a laser says it's aluminum if you're in America, or aluminium too. That's right. Yes. Yes. And it is really quite horrific, really, what they're doing. But going back to this pantomime of fear, do you believe, as I do now, that the news is contrived and it is designed to give us fear? Because if we did not have fear, and if we did not have things like unemployment, stress, the usury scam, and the usual crap, which is financially screwing us, then we'd have time to think that we do not need a government. And that would be the end of government. And of course, it'd be the end of the usury scammers, wouldn't it? So, oh, hello, it's Embro. Evening, Paul. Hello, mate. And you can come on if you want. And now, when you think about it, the real fact of the matter is, our attention is being pushed here, there, everywhere, because there's an old saying: when royalty look over the barricades and see the natives getting on well with each other, they're worried, they're terrified. But when they look over the barricades and see the natives fighting each other, they can relax. Because whilst the natives are fighting each other, they're not fighting them. So this is what I do believe. I wonder if anybody else has got that view, that it's all contrived. The Vietnam War was, and I was hoping to get a veteran on here to talk about his time in the Vietnam War. But, and I just wonder what other people think about this idea that the news is contrived. I mean, let's face it, on the law of averages, if nuclear bombs actually existed, and there's quite a few scientists that say that they can't exist, I do believe that there are warheads with nuclear material in them, but I don't think nuclear bombs exist at all. And the reason I don't believe they exist is because what was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki has been scientifically proved without a shadow of doubt that they were not nuclear bombs that were dropped. What it were conventional bombs with mustard gas. And that's why people got what they called radiation sickness. It wasn't, it was a mustard gas. And of course, the burns were from the blast, of course. Um, uh, Now, we got Alice Gorgeous. Thanks again for wanting capitals. Eric, can you think of a sensible and realistic solution to our current issues, please? Well, I think I look at things in a kind of design sort of way. And oh, hello, mate. As we got Paul here just in the nick of time. Anorak, evening, and Mr. Anorak.
And how are you?
Mustn't grumble, mustn't grumble. I haven't been on the Phantom Rainbow bus yet, and I don't really wish to be on the Rainbow bus. But I bought myself some Fisherman's Friends just in case lozenges.
Well,
because I think you have to suck one. Sorry,
isn't there a joke involving that?
Yes.
Bloke in court, and he's going. And the judge says, "I think you need to suck on a fisherman's fin." He said, "Don't you think I'm in enough trouble?"
I like that one. But no, Alice Gorgeous has just come up with, Eric, can you think of a sensible and realistic solution to our current issues, please? And I was just saying that I come from a design sort of where you would have a brainstorming situation or in the kind of engineering way, and you look at things and say, well, why doesn't that work? And I think we got to get an idea of why isn't the truth movement working? And I think the reason is because one is too comfortable, and two, our messages are too long. We need
I think
very
the thing
small.
is, though, I think the issue we've got is how I was talking about this at work today. I don't know how we get around it, because the issue we've got is that we're all. I was thinking about this quite in depth. That if let's take the assumption we went down and stormed Parliament, how would we do it? We'd need a coach. Okay,
Right.
so if we all got on a coach, the powers that be would know where we were, because let's be honest,
That's
they
right.
can track every vehicle. If we all went down separately, well, we've all then got to do a journey back.
That's
So we're
right.
all on our own. So
Yeah.
and this is where I'm not trying to put any fear. I don't fall for fear at all. But this is the thing I've always found tricky, is how we actually go down that path, because whichever result you come back with, we're either all as a group, so we're easy targets, or we're all singles and we're easy targets. Because at the moment we're all, we've got, like, Steve is northeast, you're southeast, I'm
That's right.
Midlands. We're all dotted all over the place.
You're right.
Now,
You're spot
the only
on.
way that's ever going to work is if we all come together and we're all in unity. And I do sometimes think the truth of community gets a bit of a bad rap, but we're new to this. They've had years and decades, centuries to build up their world. We've had technically 6 years, if you think about it, because
You're right.
a fair
Oh, you're
percentage.
right.
Some people were awake then, but the majority of us weren't, and I was one of them. I wasn't awake at 7 years ago. So I think we're fighting. We're a long way behind where they are, and we've got a lot of catching up to do. But it's how we all come together. We need to, like I say, we need to be working together rather than against each other, because that's what they want. They want to. If there's infighting, we've lost. We've got to be
You're spot
together,
on.
even if.
But their weapon is fear porn, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And negativity. You see, the thing is, an army fights with positiveness. Otherwise, they desert. Look at the Vietnam War. A lot of blokes deserted. They threw fragmentation grenades into the senior blokes' tents because they didn't want to go into battle. Why should they? They come out of a nice, comfortable middle class or working class, or come out of peace in America to fly halfway across the world to some sweaty jungle somewhere that they're not used to go and get killed. Doesn't seem logical. Now, the thing is, we got to be optimistic. And I think the realistic solutions is to find out individually what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are. Now, for example, some people are the type of people who can stand up on soapboxes and shout through a megaphone. I'm not that type of person, but I admire people that can. But I think that what we can do, like you're doing, and hopefully I'm doing, and that is making people laugh and laughing at the establishment because they don't like, and that is humour is a fantastic weapon. Laugh at them, number one thing. But I think the other thing is to remove all this. I mean, at the moment, we're stuck into slavery. People must go to work in the morning on Monday morning to pay their mortgage.
Yeah.
They must do things to get money to survive, to pay for their children's food, to pay for all kinds of things. Now, they've got women that are out to work now to make ends meet because they knew that women were at home and when people are at home, they start thinking and reading books and things like that and thinking, well, hang on a minute, things are not quite right. And also as a way of getting even more money, more taxpayers, basically. So the only way we're actually going to do that is for people to understand that they can not pay mortgages and not pay council tax and not pay these people because it's theft. And of course, you're aiding and abetting a crime as it's theft because that's
Well, the thing,
illegal.
well, ultimately, it boils down to our,
Hmm.
I know I mentioned many times the straw man,
Yeah,
which is what all your bills are allocated to, mortgages. I mean, the mortgage, people get a mortgage, but the money never exists. It's just a load of numbers on a computer
correct,
screen. You
correct.
don't come out of the bank with a massive suitcase with 150 grand in. And not
No.
that I'd want to do that locally here anyway, because they'll have your head off if you have gold teeth around here. But
Hmm. Well, you're spot on. And also, if you want a mortgage, the bank doesn't say, "Well, the dosh is in your account." No, they just there's just figures to them. They just tap figures in. I mean, for example, if I don't know, say you come up to, so I'll come up to you, Paul, and I said, "Look, mate, I'm a bit short. Can I have £25, please?" And you said, "Yeah, okay." And you just wrote £25 on a piece of paper and gave it to me. You'd say, "Hang on, this is not 25, but yeah, here it is. It's £25." But that's what the bank are doing. It's fraud, total
promissory
fraud.
notes, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
just promising.
all your notes just say, yeah, I promise to pay. Well,
That's right.
the money has no value because it has to have gold or silver in it to be of any
Mm.
value.
Yeah.
Which is why when the powers that be say about that, this whole you'll own nothing and be happy, we're already in that situation because technically we don't actually own anything because to own something you have to pay it using either gold or silver or both,
Mm.
and none of all the coins are worthless because there's no over the centuries or over the years they've
Mm.
removed the gold and silver out of them and replaced them with alloys,
That's correct.
which is why the pound sign has a minus on it now rather than an equals.
And I'll tell you something else I've noticed. Where we used to put the pound sign before the figure, so you say £30, you'd have a pound sign and you have 30 afterwards. They're
Yeah,
putting the pound sign after the figure now. That's
are they?
everywhere. Yes, I've noticed that a hell of a lot. Putting the pound sign after the figure. So say it's £30, you put 30 and then the pound sign after it, where he used
Be
to put it
intrigued to know what
before.
that means.
Now that must mean something.
It must
And
be, yeah.
Mike Mantis is a man of my views. The political system has never worked. Democracy is a fantasy we've been programmed to follow.
Well, my opinion is their system's falling down anyway. And from what I see and observe when I'm out and about and stuff,
Hmm.
I know I mentioned the trains just briefly. That we get lots of container trains up through Stafford and so on. And 2 years ago, there'd be 30 wagons on that, and every one of them have a container on it. Now there's still 30 wagons on there, but there's 6, 7 containers. It's not a train load anymore. So
Hmm.
I think these are all signs that their system is going down, as it were. Not
Well,
on
you're
the
right.
gay bus, obviously.
No, this isn't going up in that one. But I mean, I actually on Saturday, it's quite a nice day. I got on my bike and rode down. There's a new store. I won't say what store it is, but there's a new store that's opened up, and B&M. Sorry, I went in there. I mean, I didn't say B&M just then. It just slipped out, you know. But no, actually, it's a B&M store. Well, it's at that point, I don't think they're going to find me. And it was absolutely choco. Now, I didn't go out and maybe specifically go to a B&M store. I went out to buy some raisins because I was doing some cooking. You see, and I'd run out of raisins. See, so on my bike, you see, and because it's not worth starting to cut, especially on a Saturday, there's nowhere to bleeding park. So anyway, went down to the main town. It was heaving, and there's this. It had only been open a day, so I think it opened on the Friday, and this was the Saturday. You see, so I went went in there, and as you're walking in, all it is loads and loads of highly processed crap that's on sale there. That's all it is. Crisps, uh, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, they got food, but you're looking at it and I'm thinking, there's people but loading up their carts with loads and loads of carbohydrate crap,
Yeah.
high sugar content. And I thought, oh, some instant coffee. Looked at it. What was it called? Glucose syrup. Right, that went straight back in the rack. You know, I mean, what is it? I don't
I've got
get
to
it.
be honest. With the exception of a little bit of shopping I had to do for my mum the other week,
Mm.
I've said it before. I haven't set foot in the supermarket for 6 to 8 months.
Excellent,
Because
excellent.
the way I could do is everything they sell is poison.
I agree
So
with you. I agree
so I
with you.
stick to using our local farm shop, or I go and use the market in Shrewsbury, both fresh butchers and fresh vegetables, and there's a Corbett's fruit and vegetable, something like that, anyway, in the centre of Shrewsbury Market, and they sell all the fruit and veggies you want. Fresh turmeric, hard to come by. They do it by the bag load. Fresh garlic, fresh everything. It's
Oh,
brilliant.
lovely. This
This is
is
what
what
we
I
need.
like.
That's what we need to get back to. We need to loot. I
Mm.
think the starting point is not so much the thing beginning with G, but more the
I agree. And
stop serving the supermarkets, because they're the ones that are owned by the like BlackRock, for example. Without that, if we start starving them of their funds, then that's, in my opinion, is one way of.
that's a good step in the right direction. And also, Food for Thought Radio. What's that? That's the farming hub. Look up that, and of course, you can try and find. That's another step in the right direction. Answering the question earlier, that is getting farmers to sell their food directly to the public, and the price will drop like a stone, and we get better quality as well. The farm shop that I go to, which is in walking distance of my house, they don't sell veg at all. They only sell
They're not.
eggs and sort of homemade fancies like honey and stuff like that, and meat, but they don't sell veg.
Well,
So,
locally sourced honey is really, really good for you. That's
oh yes,
the best. I've just had a drink now whilst I'm talking. So I've got a bit of a sore throat. I've had this for the
you
last
as
24
well.
hours. Yeah,
You as well. Mine came on yesterday, and it sort of springs up occasionally. It surprises you, you know. You feel your throat feels a bit raw,
yeah.
but
It's a bit. Feels like I swallowed a razor blade, but
yeah, it does a bit with me. And now I've just come. I'll go back to Richard Blake's question, and I'll answer DJ Beto's first. And DJ Beto says B&M is good for prepping and getting canned food. Yes, I agree with you there. There was a lot, and they are very reasonable for canned food. But I get what is it, tuna from there because it's the cheapest I know of. Although Iceland is a bit cheaper, I think, near a similar price. But yeah, I do get tins of stuff from B&M. But as I say,
of course, the thing with getting tin food is you need to make sure you've got a tin opener.
yes, unless you've got the
Shit.
thing. But also, the bleeding things don't last long now because the tin is so thin that they rust. And yeah, and I've noticed that the tins, I mean, you know, where they'd last forever, they don't now. I mean, you're talking sometimes when they're within date. I mean, I've had tins of peaches explode before now when they've been within date.
Is that because they're fermented in the tin, though?
Yeah, they're fermented in the tin.
So I've had that with an apple juice a few years ago where it exploded. Made a bit of a mess, as we said.
Now, Eric and Enviro, or is there a chemical in the AKA clean petroleum and diesel engines with the fuel filters and the catalytic converters making it clear so we can see it? What do you think about that? Well, catalytic converters, they used to be made in Johnson Matthey in near, I think, Royston in Cambridgeshire. Sorry, not Royston isn't in Cambridgeshire; it's in Hertfordshire. But it used to be made, I think, in Cambridgeshire near Royston, and I think they still are made by Johnson Matthey. All the catalytic converters, but I actually think catalytic converters are a little bit of a overkill because my 1989 Toyota, which is a 2 litre, I can still get 39 miles to the gallon out of her.
Well,
Mind
no,
you, she's only done 43,000 miles from new, so there we are. But sorry, you're going to say, Paul?
in the bus world, they have AdBlue on modern buses now, even though like the local vehicles here are all Euro 6 engines, so they're not exactly chucking out fog in the first place. But they also fit eco crap to them, which takes all the power out of them, or what bit of power they have got. So then they're flogged to death. Then you see to get them going anywhere. But I know our local garage here took the eco bits back off the particular batch of vehicles we've got here, and now they go like shit off a shovel, as it were.
Well, that's right. I mean, to me, all this eco crap. I mean, for example, old diesel engines, you could start them off on diesel, then they run on chip oil and anything basically. But the new ones are so finely tuned. I mean, diesels used to be the most reliable vehicles you could buy. Now they're the most unreliable vehicles you can buy. They're always going wrong. And I've noticed this with a lot of modern vehicles, especially around where I live. People are always got trouble with them. And I think in the 80s, they reached a good point. I mean, for example, my smart car, that I have to admit, that is difficult to work on. It's a sod to work on. I mean, you have to actually take the rear wings off to change the plugs because it's got six plugs.
It's mid-engined, isn't it? The smart
car.
No,
it's rear-engined.
Rear-engined.
Yeah. Although if someone goes in the back of it, it will be a mid-engine. Yeah. But the other thing you never use on a smart car is the heated rear window because the engine keeps it warm at the back. But no, it's a 3-cylinder, but it's got 2 plugs per cylinder, so it's 6 plugs, and you have to change the plugs on that. It's a nightmare. You have to take half the bodywork away to actually get to the plugs. You have to have a special spanner to get down and change them. Whereas on my Toyota, that's only got 4 plugs, 4 cylinders, and you can do them in a matter of minutes. Just out they come, and
But I suspect your Toyota is literally just an engine and some seats, a bit like the old world, the oldie buses that I got interested in.
Yeah, I mean it's 1989. I mean it was. Oh, yeah. It's got what do you call it? Brakes, servo assisted brakes on it, and things like that, and discs all round and things like that. And unfortunately, you can't do it anymore, but it does go like shit off a shovel. The trouble is, when I get out of my smart car and get into that, it's like driving an aircraft carrier. You misjudge things. But also you got to watch the speedo because bloody Nora, I mean, with the smart car, when you're doing sort of 40 to 50 miles an hour because you can hear it. But with the Toyota, it's so quiet you can hardly hear it, and you think, hang on. Yeah.
Well, so that's why a lot of modern buses go up in flames because the engines are burning so hot now to keep emissions down, even though we know that's a load of crap anyway.
Yeah.
But the older order, if I go back to like the 80s and 90s, the things like, this won't mean anything, but the old Leyland Olympians, for example, they had a Gardner engine in the back and they were proper low, growly, noisy things. But they never got hot and none of them ever went up in flames because of engine. Because the engine's overheated.
Well, that's right. I mean, I think keep it simple, stupid is the thing. I mean, there's an engine that was designed and built in the 1920s called the PETA engine, PETA. I've tried to look that up on the internet, and they're like as real as rocking horse crap. They really are. And there's better engines, BETA, but not PETA with a P. And they were used on barges. And I think it might be something to do with health and safety because they had this massive flywheel, and to start them, you just spin the flywheel, and it goes, and it go all day on the crappiest diesel you'd ever wish to find. But they were too good because they very rarely went wrong, and the parts were simple, and it's so easy to fix if anything went wrong. And of course, they got out of fashion. It's a bit like the primer stove. Now, I actually wrote an article about primer stoves. Anybody in chat remember primer stoves? Do you remember primer stoves?
No.
They
No.
are. Well, they're fantastic. I've got two. And you can tell by the serial number how old they are. My ones were built in 1938
Wow.
and in Sweden. Hello. And what you do is they sound a bit like Concorde taking off. They roar once you get them going. And I said in this article that I wrote on Telegram that when I was a kid, I don't know, I must have been a toddler at the time. My parents used to go on picnics with my uncle, and my uncle was always the one for gadgets, the latest gadgets he would have. And of course, he got the gas cookers, with the throwaway butane and things like that. And my dad had the primer stove, and they're a bastard to start because you have to start them off with methylated spirits. And then you catch light to the top of the primer stove. And then once it starts, you think it's just right. You pump it, and suddenly it goes. But my uncle's gas stove, it'd take a month of Sundays to boil some water on it. But once my dad had got his primer stove going, which my uncle was sort of going, primer stove, old fashioned thing. Bloody Nora! I mean, talk about boiling what you could boil umpteen kettles of water in the time it would take my uncle to do one kettle. And I mean, this thing, it just went and went and went. And you'd use very little paraffin. Even with paraffin, the price it is today, it's still very, very cheap. And if I had a caravan, I'd use a primer stove because you don't have to hug around these bloody great canisters of butane gas. You just need just a little bit of paraffin, and that'll last you for weeks because it's running off the gas of the paraffin. The only trouble is you have to do it out in the open air because they stink like paraffin's a bit whiffy. But bloody Nora, I mean, talk about, cooking stuff. I mean, you cremate everything because it's so efficient. It goes like clappers. You sort of hold the pan about a couple of feet above the bleeding thing because it's roaring like anything. And yeah, they're quite dramatic, but I've still got them. And but the thing is that what happened is the Boy Scouts used to use them, dop, 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 dip, 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 ging, gang, gooly and all that. And the health and safety said, no, they're dangerous. You must get rid of all primer stoves. So about 10 years ago, you could buy primer stoves for pennies, absolutely dirt cheap. Then the Scouts started using these butane stoves, and their tent started catching fire. And health and safety thought, oh, shit. They're just as dangerous as primer stoves. Then they said, oh, primer stoves are perfectly okay. And of course, now they're really expensive. I mean, you can get them on eBay, and you might be lucky at a car boot sale. But if you want a new primer stove, they're not made by Primus, by the way, now. Primus still do stoves, but not paraffin ones. India still makes them and sells them, and they're about £40 or £50 off of eBay. That's about what, $70, something like that. So you can still get them, and they're made of solid brass, and they're bloody heavy, but they're really good. And of course, people can take the piss out of you as you're using it.
See, the thing is, I mean, my gas cooker here works perfectly fine, and it's I prefer that to the induction or the electric version. I always think induction is basically microwaving your food, and the same with electric ovens. I always think they're radiating it rather than, at
really.
least with the flame, it's cooking naturally rather than.
Oh yeah. Well, what we did with the primer stove, you put a Dutch oven on the top of it, which was cast iron, and that was your oven. And then you just lift the pot lid up and put whatever you want in there and close it, and that was as hot as an oven. And then if it was too hot, you just raise it up from you just raise it up a bit from the Primus. But I actually bought, because the only thing that wears on a Primus is a leather pump thing, valve. And there's
Yeah, yeah.
one firm in Turkey that still makes these valves. And I sent off. They're pennies to buy. In a couple of days, they came through from Turkey. You can get that off eBay. And but that's the last place that does these. There's no other factories at all that make these
See, I always think that the
seals.
reason why they get rid of these things is because they're actually useful, and
Yeah,
health and safety just, well, my views on health and safety just,
yeah.
yeah. Let me live my own life and stop dictating to me about where I can and can't
Yeah.
stand or sit or whatever.
Well, health and safety is bleeding dangerous. It really
It is.
is. It's very dangerous sometimes. I mean, I'm all for health and safety if it is for health, true health and safety. Yeah, I'm for all that. Yeah. Wear a mask if it's dust and things like that. Fine. But did I ever tell you I worked at a place called Stanford Lee Hope on a Stanford No Hope on a project that was for the oil industry, and directly you walked on the site to do a survey of the building that we was redesigning. You had to wear the safety goggles, boots, all the gear. And the trouble is, when you got your safety goggles on, and your plastic noddy hat, and as you're walking along, and it's just a fields full of pipes, and the only thing that you're in danger of is a pigeon crapping on your head. That's about the only thing. And what happens is a July day, and of course there's perspiration. I've got these goggles on, and I was walking into a bleeding ditch and falling over. And I was all grazed because I've got these sodding goggles on, which you had to wear. And if you took them off, people would shout, "Oh, put these goggles on," and all that sort of stuff, Oh, it's terrible, it was. Now,
Well, it's like things like now, if we're told, like you go into if you use the loos and stuff at work, it says, warning, hot water. You think, well, I
that's
know it's
right.
hot water because I've turned the hot water tap on. I can see that it says red on it, so it's
Yes.
going to be hot. I
Oh,
don't get a warning for cold water because that could be more shocking than the hot water. At least the hot water takes its time to
yeah,
get warm. Sometimes you
I
put it
know.
on, it's bloody oh, the hell, it's freezing.
I know. And the other one they gave us a sign is, "Now wash your hands." Really? Really? But mind you, what I've noticed, I mean, places where I've worked, people, when they wash their hands, they do like a finger ballet under the tap. They go like that, and sort of, it's a sort of jacket job, and then walk out, and that's it.
And do you not find that these modern hand dryers are just complete crap? You know
Yeah.
these things that when you put your hand on them, it changes your hand so it looks like it's mutating.
What I
You
found
can
out.
tell, or
Oh,
like
that's right.
at New Street Station used to have the old where you pull the next bit of
That's it.
cloth down. That was brilliant. Just quick wipe, job done. It's
Well,
complete crap.
they've done scientific. I saw a thing on YouTube. I don't know how true it is, and some scientists have looked into these blow dryers. And if you got now, this is if you believe in germ theory, and apparently they blow all the germs all over the loo where you are. The towels are more cleaner, But
Well, these Dyson things where you put your hands in.
oh,
There's
bloody
always
useless.
there's always a pool of water and a hair in
Yeah,
the bottom. I'm sure they come with a free hair because
yeah. Oh,
no matter
yes.
where you use them, there's always one in there. You think, well, how's that got
That's
in there?
right. That's right. It's all right. But I mean, I think I may. This is going a little lavatorial now. But did I ever tell you about the phantom piler? I think I probably
I
did.
want to know about this.
Well, where I used to work, you see. Yeah, fellas, you've probably heard this before, but in case there's some new people, so go and make a cup of tea if you've heard it before. But I worked. There was a bloke. God knows what his diet was, but crumbs on life. I mean, after he'd left the trap and the loo, flies would be on their back. I'm not kidding you. They were so bad. And if he was in the loo and he was in there, he never used to wash his hands. He used to drop his guts and then rush out. So people would come in and think, if you're washing your hands like a good boy, blokes would think, "Oh, it's you." That was me that's done that, But anyway, we called him the Phantom Piler. And one day I was in the loo, I'd just come out and I was just washing my hands. And the Phantom Piler went in, dropped his guts and left. Just as he left, Bubble, a chap we called Bubble, came in. Bubble was Greek Cypriot who was born in this country with a right old Cockney accent. He went, "Bloody hell." Dropped their guts. And I turned around and said, "The smell of cooking, just like a mama used to make." And he collapsed on the floor with laughter. But yes, the Phantom Parliament called. Another thing is you used to rush outside without pulling the chain. So, so you'd be, and we called it. Was it always something there to remind me after the what was that? Sandy Shaw tune. Always something there to remind me.
So the tales that I used to get from my dad, my late dad, when he used to work at
Yeah.
Perkins Engines in Peterborough,
Oh,
when I was
Perkins Engines. Oh, they're decent, weren't they? Yeah.
many moons ago, and they'd do things like putting like cling film over the bog.
Oh yes, yes. There's lots of tricks and things like that. But anyway, Aunt Sally's asked Chris, all these Primus stoves, they're PR Primus. They are. So it's run on ethane. Ethane. I haven't tried it. I don't know.
Methane.
I think methane. But no, I don't think so. But no, I think they run off the gas off paraffin, and that's why they're so economical. You can buy paraffin stoves from eBay, which are made in China. You're wasting your money, because what you do, you just catch light to the neat paraffin, and you go through loads of paraffin in a short time. But Primus got it right, because you pump it up, pressure inside the chamber inside this stove, and it runs off the gas. So you use very, very little. You can have a little bottle of paraffin, and that'll last you for ages and ages. And you're not worried about it running out, because if it runs out, you just top the bloody thing up again. That's it. But ethanol. There's no reason why it can't. Although I'm not. The answer is I don't know.
I was answering Exo's comment there. He was saying about that he worked at Perkins. When was this, Exo? Because my dad worked there into the early 80s. So we lived in Peterborough till 86, 87. And then and back then, there were bits of it that were a bit of a dump, as described, but it wasn't that bad back then. It is now. I mean, even the Alsatians walk around in pairs in Peterborough these days. But back in the 80s, it was fine. I have Peterborough to thank for my love of railways, because they were everywhere.
Yes. Oh, Peter. Now we got here. Eric went 2 hours without telling a shit joke, shit story. Yes, I'm getting pretty good, And someone here said about something they got from BMS stores, which sounded rather sort of. Now, where are we? Where was it now? Now, Mike Mantis says he remembers Primus stoves just about. Yes, that's right. I'll tell you what I'm after. Small camping stove ones that are the backpacking ones, because my ones are bleeding great size things. But you can get these. They made them smaller for backpackers. They're about the size of a biscuit tin. Again, they weigh a ton. Now,
I promise I'm not stalking you, Exo. I promise. We seem to have followed a similar sort of journey, should we say? If you went on holiday to Great Yarmouth or Hunstanton, I'd be worried.
Yes. Now, Fray Bentos apparently has. So we got here. Fray Bentos always has soggy bottoms. That's interesting. And now we got here. Now there we are. Fray Bentos pies. I don't get Fray Bentos anymore. Their pies, because they're full of nothing. I found.
You don't want a soggy bottom either.
You don't want a soggy bottom, especially with that bus around.
No, you don't.
But somebody said they had something in B&M stores, which were the dog's Watsits, and I can't remember who it was. I've lost it now. Where is it?
It probably was.
Now, now what we got here? Oh, hang on. No, I'm going back. Here we go. This is interesting. Arch Mose says Japan sent 25 tons of meat back to Argentina, whose president is Netty Nutty Nicker's cousin. Is he really? Bloody Nora, I didn't know that. They sent the meat back as it was saturated with chemicals banned 30 years ago. Well, I didn't know.
That's why I'll stick to my farm shop, because I wouldn't trust any of these main brands. Anything that's brand or anything in a mainstream store, best avoided. like the likes of Greg's, which is a blue and yellow,
Oh,
blue and yellow squares, which is
yes.
Freemason colours. Yeah, best avoided.
That's right. A DJ Beto, talking about my smart car that has got 6 plugs in it, says, I have a single cylinder, large capacity motorcycle that has twin plugs and twin carbs. Yeah. And the smart car's also got a catalytic converter as well on it, which I've got.
Aren't they fast off the mark though? The old smart cars.
They go like a bleeding rocket up to about 20 miles an hour. Yeah, they'll beat anything off. They could actually, I'm not showing off, but they beat a Ferrari off from the lights. They really are. Go like bleeding clappers. But it's when it gets to about 20 miles an hour, then it sort of tails off a bit, and then you're really pushing it.
We had a bus like that locally here. We had an old Optare, which sadly is now withdrawn, but that had a Cummins engine in the back. And when it was fairly new here, some bloke in a Porsche tried to overtake it and didn't. The driver of the bus took his foot down, and this Porsche just didn't get past. Brilliant. Should have bought a £2 bus ticket.
Well, what gets me is that I had a problem with my smart car. I was driving along, the bleeding thing wouldn't go over 20 miles an hour, and I got my foot flat to the floor, and I got this orange light flashing at me. And I found out, now, once upon a time, you see, in the good old days, you'd have an accelerator and you'd have a cable that went from the accelerator to the carburetor. That's when we had carburetors. Simple, wasn't it? Oh, no. They haven't got that on the smart car. It's a some sort of gizmo that there's no cable at all. It's done, I don't know how it's done. It's done electronically, I think. And the cost of this gizmo that you have to put in is about 350 quid. Well, I phoned up the parts place, and a woman said, she's really good. She said, now she'd disconnect the battery. She said, go and have a cup of tea, come back, connect the battery up, and it worked perfect. And that's what I did. And it's done that. So the computer goes after a while, So he just sort of disconnect the battery and swear at it, But
you don't think that it's going to get to a point where they'll have modern cars, and I don't mean the electric crappy things. I mean even like ones with engines. Where the bonnets will be sealed shut.
They've got that now.
Because
It's almost the same.
They are dropping. They're trying to stop people from being able to maintain their cars, and all this stuff where you need a laptop to tell you what's wrong with the car, or bus or train or whatever it is. Give us back the old stuff. Give us the Capri.
I agree with you.
Not the modern Capri, the proper Capri. The Ford Sierras, things like that. They were brilliant. They were simple cars. But they all look the same now. No offense to anyone who likes cars.
I agree with you. They all look like a turtle to me. All sort of go along the road.
Yeah.
They got a face like it. But I had a Moggy 1000 Traveller, Wooden Wonder, like driving a greenhouse. And I used to have things called points. They haven't got them on cars now. And on a cold day, I used to start the engine up, get it nice and warm. Radiator was nice and warm, and then I'll pivot myself on the radiator. And the points are right down. And it's a little tiny engine with a bloody great engine bay. It's quite amazing, it was. So I pivot myself, and I'll be changing these points. And you had to use a feeler gauge and just adjust it and get it just right, you see, top, dead centre and all that. So anyway, it was a lovely day. It's like this about this time of the year. But it's a bit nippy, a bit cold, you see. And I had this nice warm radiator on my stomach and made my legs I was horizontal and my head right down like this. Just getting up, I just got it right, and a bloody Jehovah's Witness came up to me and said, "Excuse me," and it frightened me so much I fell out arse over head into the engine. And because your head's quite heavy, I just couldn't get out this engine. And I was going, and she said, "What do you think?" And she's going on all about her Jehovahing stuff, not noticing that I can't get out the bleeding engine. And that's about the first time I've been rude to someone. I said, "Look, sod off, do you mind?" I lost my bleeding feeler gauges under the engine, and a big screwdriver went elsewhere, and I was not a happy bunny, I'm telling you, But anyway, she didn't even notice the predicament that I was in. That I couldn't get out the bleeding engine, there's nowhere to hold. You just go, you put your engine on where the rocker box is. You go, it's hot. Yes. But anyway, about stoves. DJ B2 says I just get army surplus hex mine stoves for camping. nice and cheap. Are they the ones like the German stoves that you lift up and you put like a block in and you catch light to it? Have I got that right? Because I've got one and I actually make my own blocks. Seriously, you can. Toilet roll tubes. Yeah, you can. Toilet roll tubes and candle wax. Oh, and paper. Seriously.
Well, do you find that as you drive around, something I've noticed at work, that I know we've talked about the standard of driving, that standard of driving seems to be pretty crap these days. But do you find that also a lot of people take near misses as well? There's a lot of near misses now on the roads, as though people
Yeah.
have lost their judgment and their ability to
Oh, yeah.
work
Yeah.
out distances and stuff like that.
Oh, I'll tell you one that gets me, roundabouts. The amount of people that come up to a roundabout, just accelerate. Doesn't matter what's there, and you have to put your brakes on and do a hard push
Yeah.
because they come straight onto the roundabout because people on the roundabout have got priority in this country. Whereas in France, I think France, I think it's
France is the other way
way
around,
around.
isn't it?
Yeah, but people on the roundabout got priority. So you're driving around the roundabout and they just come straight at you. It's just straight on. I mean, my neighbour took me down the road and I was sitting there, and suddenly I thought, he's not going to stop. I closed my eyes. I was waiting for a crash and then opened my eyes and, it's okay. We must have missed, But anyway, Ricardo Blake, sorry, mate, said, I hope the bus was not a gay bus with a Cummings engine.
I could be a bit crude on that, but I won't.
Well, it was very hot and bothered, wasn't it?
Well, the vehicle design, search Optare Versa. It looks like a dildo. But I'll be able to say that word before 9 o'clock. Are we after 9 o'clock?
Yeah,
we're on the watershed. Yeah.
We're over it, yeah.
Yeah,
and was it Versprung duct technique or whatever it is? Here it is, yes. Yeah, that's nice. Yes. Now, it says here, try copying off with someone in a VW Beetle. Copying? Is that a term? I don't know.
Trying to pull them, I'm assuming.
No, I don't know. But a VW Beetle, well, actually, a smart car's a glorified VW Beetle because it's got the engine in the back. And seriously, But I'll tell you another thing. If you get frozen food, don't put it in the back rear end of the car because the engine gets cooked. You can cook something on the way home.
Well, don't they reckon we were talking about 2CVs yesterday? And weren't they designed to? Aren't they one of the most stable cars out there in the respect that didn't they used to use them to carry like eggs and stuff like that over like French fields, and they keep things level? They were.
Oh, they're brilliant cars, but they're banned in Sweden, weren't they? Because there's no crumple zone. If you get in an accident, you just crumples up. Yeah, and they were actually based on a British, not sure what motorbike engine, because I think they were air cooled, weren't they? I think they were. Yeah.
Like
but
the VW Beetle, they were as well.
And they did massive miles to gallon. I mean, I think they did about 60 or something to the gallon. And it's a mystery why they ever discontinued them. I mean, they could have put crumple zones in them and all that. But apparently the workmanship on them wasn't too good, No, Exo says bizarre gear shift stick in a 2CV. Well, smart car, that you can decide whether to have it automatic or manual gearbox with it. It's a tectonic gearbox. So you can either change gear manually or you can do it, well, you just push the lever forward. But I don't use the automatic. I use, I just push the gear. But it's funny when I get out of that, as I say, and get into my Toyota, because that's manual gearbox. And you you got a clutch on it and things like that. That takes a bit getting used to. Now, as Gorgeous said, Eric and Anorak, the Transport Series number 101. Yes,
absolutely.
101 things. Yes, but shall we go back to the subject? Pantomime of Fear. We had a poll on my Telegram channel of what the best fear porn was, and one of them was the naughty Russians trying to bomb our chip shops. That was one. The dooflop, the nasty thing beginning with V, and I think that won it actually. I can't remember. And the fact of the matter is that that's all we've known is fear porn. That's all news is fear porn. And now you get it blasted at you from bleeding apps on the telly on your phone. and I don't want apps on my phone. But if you buy car insurance now, you got to put a sodding app on your phone, which I'm pissed off
The
about.
thing is, though, once you understand the numerology side that, like Steve and myself know, the fear goes because you know it's all. I mean,
That's
I
right.
can anything that comes. I do have a quick look at the BBC News just for a laugh, and just see if there's anything to get me teeth into to have a go at decoding. But
Mm.
everything they put up there is they're done on specific days, as has been mentioned many times,
Yeah.
and there's always there's certain numbers come up in certain articles all the time. Number 10, number 35, number 55, certain 67, certain numbers come up on a regular basis. And once you start and see the patterns, I mean, like
I know what
that
you
thing
mean.
in Derby, I had a quick look at that today. There's the car that ran over a few people in Derby,
Oh
and the driver
no.
was 36 years old. Well, 36 is three sixes,
Well,
so it's
did
a
I ever
false
tell you?
flag.
That's really that's interesting because at my uncle's funeral, I was following in the car behind the funeral procession, and there's a bleeding car coming along, cutting up a funeral procession, which is a sort of a not thing to do. And the bloke inside had literally had a beard like the devil, because I noticed it in my wing mirror. That's right, wing mirror, a door mirror. And as he cut me up, his number plate was 666.
Wow,
That was
maybe.
I've never forgotten that. And oh, by the way, Exo says copping off is a South Brummy term for snogging. Oh yeah, snogging. Yeah, well, you won't be able to do much snogging in a smart car. Too bleeding. I don't know. It's quite big in a smart car, but snogging in a Morris 1000, yeah, that's quite good. Yeah, no good snogging. Yeah, so my ex-girlfriend and myself, when I had my Morris 1000, was snogging away, and we was down this dark country lane, and suddenly it was really spooky. It was near a pub, and someone was obviously pissed. Had actually got on the back of the back of the car, was looking through the back windows at us.
Well, the thing is, though, I suppose with your smart car, you could, if you're travelling with your other half, you think, should we climb in the back? Oh, hang about. No, we can't.
No, no,
Sorry
but
about that. It was the thought that counts, though.
well, it's funny enough. It's surprisingly large inside the smart car. It's bigger inside the smart car than the front of my Toyota, believe it or not.
Right?
Because yeah, it's quite big inside. I mean, if you blindfolded somebody, put them in the smart car, they'd think they're as in a van or something, because it is quite large inside. You know, because it's like a big sort of bubble, isn't it, going along? But no, I haven't had a snog in my front smart car. Although I did snog the seat when I was trying to get a penny from that rolled under the seat and try to get that out. You know, I was like,
Things aren't that bad, are they, Chris? I could send you a penny in the post.
But yeah, so we learnt something there. Copping off is a Brummy term for snogging. I thought it was something even ruder. So there we go. So
I know somebody mentioned on there about Opel Mantas. They were beautiful cars.
Oh yeah, Opel Mantas. And
sorry, I suppose we're back on transport again.
yes, it does. It starts with one car. I'm a bit of a thing about transport. I don't know what it is. You know, I like cars and bicycles, not motorbikes. I've never really had much interest in motorbikes, but I like push bikes and cars. That's my two main ones. You know, but
I think motorcyclists are the most vulnerable road users out there, and I think more attention needs to be paid by car drivers to motorcyclists. Although
I
some
agree. Yeah.
cyclists put themselves deliberately in danger by some of the activities they get up to, should we say?
Yeah, well, that's it, and especially bleeding delivery thing, people on the mopeds, you know, cutting across you and things like that. But I know I sound like a good little boy, but they always say, "Oh, cyclists, you go to the front of the queue at the traffic lights." I don't. I wait my turn because I cycle like like I'm in my car. So if there's three cars in front of me, I'll let those three cars go because I'll wait my turn like everybody else. And you know, I've actually had. I'm serious there. I've had motorists sort of saying thank you and things like this, because if there's a delivery lorry behind me, I'll get off, get out of the way, let the delivery go through. And the bloke, you know, and wave, thank
Like
you.
quite
You know,
often when I used to go cycling with my when I was with my ex-partner, and if I come up to a corner and there's somebody behind me, and once I cleared that corner, I could see it was clear from. I just put my thumb up so that they knew they could overtake. And the most part, they were very positive, and only the odd one would like give a 2-finger salute, things like that, But at least they acknowledged. I mean, it's better than nothing.
Well, that's right, and I think I'll be straight with you. I think people generally are very nice. I really do. Um, Now we're talking about going back to the things. Meningitis has retired. Yeah, it's all gone a bit quiet about meningitis. That fear porn
Of course it
with its
has.
best mate monkeypox. Desperate much. Yes,
Well,
we might have the
the
monkeypox.
the meningitis thing, that was somebody decoded that. I can't claim credit for this one, but
Yeah.
it was to do with the University of Kent, was
Oh
where the
yes.
first one was found. And between the year that the University of Kent was established to that the first version of the meningitis thing was found was 61 years and 60 days. 616, alternative number of the beast.
Wow, that's interesting. And well, Mark Meintis reckons that nukes are the best fear porn. Yeah, I think nukes are. I think I'd voted for nukes because they are pretty good fear porn. They are, and but especially the radioactive fallout you get from them. You know, and
But you know that's
Alice
all nonsense.
Gorgeous.
Anyway, it's just lies, isn't it? I don't think there's any such thing as as nukes. I think it's just
I do. I do.
they've,
I think
they've
it's
been used
nonsense.
for
I
years.
think I think they put radioactive material inside them, but when you see how big a nuclear power station is, and there's lots of scientists say that they just literally can't put them into bombs. It's because, as I say, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they've proved that it wasn't bombed at all by nukes. Uh, uh, Alice Gorgeous says, I can't mention the last word. Alice, Audi drivers are uh, anchors. And I pronounce my A's strangely.
My merchant bankers.
Yes, and strangely enough, my brother-in-law hasn't it, or he used to. I don't know. I haven't seen him about 16 years, but yeah, he had an Audi.
See, going to the older world, the Audi Quattro, the proper one, like they used to be in the rally, and they were
Yeah,
beautiful looking cars. But today they all look the same, and
yeah.
especially, and no offense when somebody's got an Audi TT, but I do think the TT stands for titty because that's usually what's driving them.
Well, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Sorry, back to transport again. Can you imagine the film Bullet? Which, of course, one of my favourite scenes was when the car chase, with what was it now? It's Steve McQueen in a Ford Mustang, and that lovely, I think it's a V8 engine, and that. Vroom, vroom.
Yeah, yeah,
Can you
yeah. Oh,
imagine
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that with an electric car?
Well, I
No, you
posted a
got to have a
link
V8.
when I was only a few weeks ago. I posted a link to some truck drag racing. I don't know if you
Yeah,
looked at that, where it's literally just not even a quarter of a mile drag
that's right.
race,
Yeah,
but it's American trucks with double trailers all stacked up high, loads of fumes, loads of noise.
lovely.
That's my sort of sport. I'd go and watch
Yeah.
that. Forget Formula One. Just give us a couple of trucks with some a bit of fog coming out of them. Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, by the way, DJ Peter says monkeypox. Did someone? Well, I can't really read the rest of it.
Well, I made a joke about that years ago when it first came out, and I said that I called up the monkeypox hotline and I got through to somebody in China, and it was somebody called Utang, and he said
Yes.
the monkeypox thing, "You Utang."
Well, for those of you on the radio, it says, did someone B&M stores a monkey? I think I've got over that a bit easier.
Yeah.
A monkey in Brighton. So there we go. So we're talking about B&M stores. Yes, I don't think. What's this? Alex called it the NHS is Bill Gates' murder service these days. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. I
Now,
wouldn't go
Kingston
there
Whitler.
either.
Hello, mate. Kingston Whistler. Driving around West London in the evening, these moped drivers with their L plates are an absolute menace. Yeah, yeah. But mind you, if if you don't run off with a moped, I think you get 10 points for a moving target, don't you? Something like that. Shouldn't say that. I'm joking. Steve McQueen was a cool dude. Yes. Yes. When I was a kid at school, everyone was trying to be Steve McQueen. I mean, he was cool. He was bleeding cool in everything, Steve McQueen. And I say at school, we saw, and it was all our ambition to have a Ford Mustang. Yes, that is the car I have, a Ford Mustang.
So you can't beat a good car chase. I don't know if anyone's watched what's it called? Jack Reacher, the first Jack Reacher, Tom Cruise. Where he's got the car chase towards the middle end of the film. Brilliant car chase that is, but the sound of the V8 is just amazing. Great sound.
Well, there's a fellow where I used to work. He had a Trans Am. I think that's a V16. I think it might be. Bloody hell! And he worked a lot in Canada, and he had it shipped over from Canada. It's a left-hand drive, and this thing, when it started up, you can actually feel it vibrating through your feet, the ground underneath it. I mean, Christ knows that. I mean, it probably did about 6 miles to the gallon or something ridiculous. It was a tank, but bloody hell, talk about luxurious inside. I mean, it was years ahead of its time. Trans Am, what a car! I mean, imagine that electric one. It's like, it separates the men from the boys.
The old diesel locos and stuff, the Deltics and the 37s that are still about now. You're alive. You get one of them on the front, get your head out the window, through a tunnel, give it some welly. You just know you're alive.
Well, that's right. I mean, I'll tell you another thing. Standing on a station when an express comes through at full speed, there's something exhilarating about that. Lovely. Little boys with little toys.
Well, it's also things like, I mean, I mentioned on one of the shows a few weeks ago when I used to do the Czech Republic, and even the electric locos out there, then unlike ours, they've got no limiter on them.
Excellent.
And they will literally, they will keep up with cars on acceleration and they'll use an electric loco and 3 coaches. It's like 5,000 horsepower and 3 coaches is nothing. And they're done off bloody shift. I tell you what.
I know.
And there was a fleet in Germany, a class 103, and they had 14,000 horsepower on tap. And one of my big regrets, not that I live with regrets, but if I had one, was never sampling one of those things, because apparently they could accelerate to some like 125, 130 at the same sort of pace that a Porsche would. They were class 103s. Check them out. Amazing bits of kit.
Well, the fastest I've ever been on my bike was 27 miles per hour. You don't get constipation at that speed because with conventional brakes, not disc brakes. And I did 25 on Saturday. Yeah, I was doing about 25, and we're going with conventional brakes. So for stopping, you just hope, but because you're very exposed on a push bike, But now, Kings and Whitler says the transport company I used to work for had a gay train. Problem is, every time it hit a tunnel, it reversed and went back in repeatedly, caused terrible delays.
Where did it terminate? Arsenal. Sorry.
Oh, these are bum jokes. But talking about bums and things. Now, I heard this is another thing about Pantomime of Fear. Oh, by the way, Patrick, good afternoon. Our ambassador from our cheese ambassador. Hello,
hey.
Patrick.
Hello,
and,
Patrick.
Welcome. We just saw you there,
Paul.
and we're little boys with little toys and we're envious of you. I'm envious of you in America because you can get nice juicy cars like Trans Ams and Ford Mustangs. Although they're classic cars now, aren't they? I would have thought in the States. Do you still get throaty V8s?
From time to time.
Lovely.
Do you still get the auto car? Because wasn't it in America? Wasn't it a case you'd sort of buy the bog standard car, but then you could soup it up with new engine and basically you could have a brand new car, but it would all be. You could actually soup it up yourself and change bits and pieces. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you
Yeah,
know what I
now
mean.
it's all computer work, and
Yeah.
then if you don't know computer components, it's difficult to work on them. But yeah, it used to be a lot easier.
Oh, that's
And
right.
people do.
Do you ever see the film American Graffiti with those cars? Oh,
I've
the
seen
film. I
bits
watched
of
it.
it.
I mean, it's a crap
That's the
film,
one with
but if
Wolfman Jack. I remember
That's
Wolfman
right.
Jack from that.
but it's crap film, but it's worth it if you like cars. Because you've got these lovely throaty V8s and V16s going gargling down the road. Cool. Now, and it's funny enough, I'm not a speed merchant. I know it sounds a bit weird. I like comfort now. It's probably because I'm getting an old git. You know, I'm sitting.
I just want a stripped down car or a truck.
Yeah.
Something that gets
Simple.
me from point A to point B.
Yeah.
No luxury. Just simple.
A Jeep.
Yeah,
Jeeps.
cheap
The
and
old.
cheap
I'm
and
talking
simple.
about the old-fashioned Jeeps, which are still made, I
Right.
think, in the Philippines, aren't they? New. You can buy them new in Philippines. Jeeps.
Yeah.
And yeah, apparently, yeah. I saw a documentary about the factory there, and they're made exactly the same as they're made in World War II. The trouble is, they're not very economical with the fuel. That's the trouble.
Well, I like the Humvees, like the military surplus Humvees. I've driven a
Big
few
for our
of those.
roads.
And they're
Really?
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
but-
all aluminum body too, which is
Really?
interesting.
Yeah, but
And they've got
unfortunately,
locking differentials, so all wheels go at the same rate.
I'd have thought they'd have
Especially
been
when you
made
get
of
stuck.
steel rather than aluminium. That's interesting.
Well, it keeps it
yeah.
light because they're vehicles they parachute out of the back of C-130 aircraft, and so they keep them light, but it's also a safety measure to have an aluminum body because if you crash in it, it absorbs the shock more than the steel does. If you hit with like high carbon steel, you absorb the shock when it crashes instead of the car itself. So aluminum is preferable, and plus
Yeah.
it doesn't rust.
It's a good point. Although it does goes a bit powdery, doesn't it? After a while, I think it doesn't rust.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
like aluminum.
I just remember seeing was it a 1939 Bugatti Atlantic, and it was all aluminum body.
Very
Some guy
nice.
out in Minnesota and on the Gold Coast of Minnetonka had one, and it was a beautiful car, and it was
Well,
all aluminum. I thought that was
really?
cool for 30s.
There's a bloke on the internet that's made a Model T Ford replica. There's a pedal car. Seriously. A battery-powered pedal car. So it goes along about 15 miles an hour on this Model T Ford replica. It looks quite good, actually. It's a complete
Yeah,
tip,
like an
but,
electric car, they're fine for just putzing around town. But
Yeah.
if you're going any long distance, they're worthless, I think.
Oh, crap. Absolute crap. But,
Well, I meant to say, that's what I was going to say earlier on about electric cars and vehicles in general. There was a chap I was watching on here called Motor Coach World. He's American-based coach operator, and he was approached by one of the coach manufacturers called Van Hool to drive an electric coach from East to West Coast America, and it took him some like 10 days to do this journey, having to charge this coach when he could find a charging point that would actually fit a coach into it.
Yeah,
And when he
that's
did
ridiculous.
find it, it'd take him 8-9 hours to charge. And I put a note on him. I said, well, if you'd have done that in a diesel coach, you'd have done it probably you'd only need to fuel up once. So you'd have done it half the time. And he said, yeah, I would. So there's no benefit to buying an electric coach or from that
I think
perspective.
electric would be good. I remember in Russia there were buses that ran off of electric wires on the
trolley
roadway.
buses.
Trolley
Yeah.
buses. They were great. I think that's a good idea. And even going from here or out in Montana, in the mountains, they used to have electric trains that would run until the prices of the copper went up above what the operating costs were, and they tore out all the copper and got rid of the tracks. That kind of stuff was neat. But if you do it right, otherwise, it is better just to have a diesel if you're running a big rig type, cross country thing going. It should
See,
be
mainland
cheaper actually
Europe
to have
uses
diesel.
mainland Europe uses pretty much probably about 90% electric trains. There's very few. I mean, there are on non-electrified lines, but diesel locomotives are very few and far between on mainland Europe. America's obviously pretty much all diesels, with the exception of the Northeast Corridor now, and obviously the UK for whatever reason, seems to use diesel locos on journeys that could all be electric locos. It's typical of our
Well,
country,
I
really.
wonder, like, I went out on the Trans-Siberian Railroad, section in the west. If that was electric or not, I don't recall. I think maybe it was electric. But it was interesting because they had a tea kettle for your tea, the hot water. I thought it was neat. They still used coal for firing the tea kettle. Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, I like that. That sounds very civilized, And I tell you what I've noticed. I said this last night that there's a girl called Itchy Boots. She's Dutch. She goes around the world on a motorcycle. That's right, biker.
Chick.
And a woman on her own, totally on her own. You think that's a bit of a risk. Everywhere, all right, we might be just seeing the glossy side, but the people are so polite and so nice to her. Wherever she goes, they're nice. And the average folk on the ground help her. She's been to South America. She's in Mongolia now. Very, very nice people. And it really restores your faith in human nature. And I really do believe that 99% of people are just fine. It's just the 1% we got to be.
Well, it's the news that makes you fear everybody because it's like, they tell you only the horror stories of what happens.
Yeah,
and they don't ever share that.
But now, Kingston Whitler says LED blue lights on these armoured truck type cars. Oh, yeah, I know the type. That sit at eye level. Oh, bloody hell, yes. Are ruining my eyesight. Blinding at times. And I'll tell you something, their bleeding headlamps are awful as well.
I remember
and dangerous.
Going to China. In China, back in the 90s, I saw those for the first time. They were everywhere over there in Beijing.
Well, LED blue lights.
It was blue light. Yeah, these bright blue lights. I remember it because over here, it's been incandescent until, the last 10 or so years.
I agree with you, yes.
Introducing the LED.
I hate
But I remember seeing that and being like, wow, this is hard to get used to,
everything the blue lighting affects your sleep as well because it keeps. That's why a lot of the
mimics daylight.
Skins, yeah,
that's right.
Daylight, that's
but
why.
Kingston Whitler went on to say, obviously intentional to affect our brains, and I agree with him.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, and they're awful. And LED, I mean, we got street lamps at LED, and they're horrible. They're like something out of the Victorian times. They're so dim. They're horrible things.
But have you noticed, Chris? I don't know if it's the same with where you are. They put the LED lighting in built-up areas, but then you come out of the built-up areas, and they've still got the old tungsten orange lights.
That's right. Yeah.
So if the council was saying that it's there to save money, well, that's pardon my French, but that's bullshit. Because if that's the case, I'd replace them all. And I noticed that I was up in Wigan, going back 2 or 3 years ago, and all the wherever the built-up areas were where all the blue LED lights were, but once you got onto the main roads, they went back to the orange tungsten ones, the decent ones, the nice ones.
Yeah.
And in answer to Exo's question about the Licky, yeah, I know the Licky incline, top place near Longbridge, coming out of Birmingham towards
longest uphill train climb in England. Is that right?
1 in 37 or something like that. That gets even modern trains struggle up there. Yeah.
But now, I'm glad you come on, Patrick. I'm glad you come on, Paul. And the reason why is I've seen 2 news reports that King Sausage Fingers, the turd, is dead.
What?
And and apparently they reckon he's died, but they're waiting to a suitable date, like the Queen. The Queen was dead long before it was officially announced. And 2, I think it's in an Indian newspaper and somewhere else, that said that they're waiting for available date to announce it.
It'll be a 222 days or 22 months, 22 weeks and 2 days. They're like 222. British Royal Family's 222.
So it'll be a 222. So when's the next 222 coming up? It'll be because April is the 4th month. So that's.
Hold the line, caller.
Where did you hear this, Eric?
It was about a couple of hours before coming on to the show. I was searching around the internet to download some stuff, which I accidentally pressed the wrong button, knocked them all off. To actually put on this show, you see, and I had George Bernard Shaw lined up. He went, and so I said, "Oh dear, what a shame," to myself. But luckily, everybody on air didn't see what I was thinking. You know, I was thinking, "Oh, I pressed the wrong bleeding button." But no, I was going to show it where they actually said that it seems that Prince Charles, not Prince Charles, King Charles, may have already snuffed it. Who knows?
Well, he had cancer, didn't he? That was a
I
big
suppose
deal.
so. They say.
Yeah,
Mm.
that was. I wouldn't read too much into that either. That was.
Well,
He was diagnosed with that 22 weeks and 2 days after his birthday. Right, here goes then.
20.
Right, here's my
There we
prediction
go.
then.
Right, I've got my diary here.
24th of June.
24th of June. So hang on, I'll
Yeah.
make a note of that.
Obviously, if he
24th of June.
does die on that day, it wasn't
I'll put
me, I
down,
promise.
Paul's King Charles prediction, and you'll have special branch.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday there was news out of the Holy Land about the Cardinal Pizzaballa is his name, and he was not allowed to celebrate the Passion or the
What?
Palm Sunday
Really?
Mass in the Holy Sepulchre, and it's the first time in centuries that it hasn't been allowed, and it was a big deal. Apparently, they've reversed the decision, and now he's able to, but it's already too late to have done it yesterday.
Well, I did have a controversial thing lined up. I decided not to put it on in the end, and that is a rabbi talking about he's actually for Palestine. He's a true supporter of Palestine, and boy, what this guy was coming out with! Well, it's on YouTube, and how to allow it, I don't know, but he was saying it as it's a very educational one, and you'll be able to see that on the Telegram channel. But I decided not to put it on this show because I think it's a bit too controversial. But he's an honest bloke, and he was. I think he's English, and he was, or he comes from England, and he was saying that we're basically fallen. Well, I don't want to say put words into his mouth, but it's basically saying that we're told a load of bullshit about that country that we're not allowed to criticise. That was basically it, you know. And but the thing is that when do you think doing your thing with this pantomime of fear, when do you think that Paul? When do you think the balloon's going to go up with the Middle East war? You know, America's going to sort of was it boots on the ground, as I say.
Well, if we're going to the point of a 68 date numerology, then I'd have to work that out. In just going back to the previous question on with regards to sausage fingers, you could also put down the 19th of April as well. That'd be 22 weeks and 2 days.
Okay, we'll put that down. See, let's have a look. Notice I'm using an old-fashioned diary. So
Can you use a wonder pencil as well, so at least you rub it out?
Yes, well, I've got to run, but you know, got the wonder pencil to see. It's a wonder, easy peasy, you know, all that, you know. So what is it? I'll put down Paul's
19th of April.
Paul's Charles prediction.
So they like the number 222. That's why the Queen's coffin was moved at 2:22 p.m.
Really? That's interesting. Yes.
There's a
I
lot of
wonder if we could have
222s
it
involved in
all,
them.
the BBC with the voices, solemn voices. It always makes me laugh. And now, as they're walking up to the coffin now, the lid is opening, yes, and he's shouting, April Fool. You know, sorry.
I see this now. Mark Atwood, Morning Campers, is King Charles III already dead as predicted.
Well, we don't
You
know,
posted
do we?
it. You posted it on Falcom Hall.
Oh, did I? Oh, thanks,
Today.
mate. Yeah, sorry, I thought you just read it out of chat. Oops.
Speaking of campers, you should get a Falcom Hall primer stove. You know,
Yes.
sell those.
That's a good
I was
idea.
listening earlier to you. I've got a few of them. The old gas type that you plunge with. The
Oh, you've got
plunger.
some primers as well. Bloody
yeah,
Nora.
the Coleman stoves they call them.
That's right, Coleman's. I think they're made in England, aren't they, Coleman's?
I have no idea where they're made.
Yeah, I think
I thought
they are.
Kentucky or Tennessee or somewhere like that, but
They
maybe
might do. Because I'll tell you
I know
something.
that
Those.
I use just regular petrol for them. You just put in your gas petrol that you use for your vehicle. It works fine.
Really? Oh, yes. I think the Russians ones do that. But
Any of them do. Any of them do if it's a primer type. Yeah.
Those stoves separate the men from the boys, don't they? They really do. You know, I mean, let's face it.
Right,
you wouldn't see John Wayne with a gas stove,
butane,
primers, a butane. You go,
yeah, or propane or whatever it is, pressurized canisters that you have to buy.
That's right.
This pot ain't big enough for the both of us.
I've got a primer stove here. You know, just stand back. You know. But mind you, you learn many swear words when you're trying to get the bastard lighting in a wind.
Yeah, but they don't make them. You're right, they don't make them.
No,
you can't find them, and those would be perfect. You know, you send a whole bunch of those to these war zones where they don't have electricity. It'd be perfect.
I know,
but they don't do it.
But you can still get them in India. You can get them on eBay. They're about £40, and there was a factory. About 10 years ago, that had gone broke in the 1950s, and someone had bought the factory and found all these primer stoves all stocked up there, and they were selling them on eBay cheaply. And I was tempted to get one. I wish I would have done, really, but I didn't.
How about those jerry cans? You ever get for gas? Like
jerry cans. There's a lot of shitty ones. Copies,
no, I'm talking
the real
about
ones.
The real ones with the
the real
handles
McCoy
on the top.
Yeah, bloody brilliant they are. And now it says here, I bet Eric owns a Rolodex. What the bleed hell's that?
It's an old Rolodex contact information. You'd have your card of business contact.
I know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, no, I'm not that old. All right, I've got my diary here and all that.
Filofax.
I'll tell you what I have got. Hang on, if I can find it here. Where is it? Here it is.
The classic line from Open All Hours. I'll file your bloody fax.
This is. Anyone know what this is? And you see it in old films.
Looks like a dictaphone.
No, I use my finger actually. no, everybody else. Spies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, camera. Like a 110 type.
But not just
camera.
a camera. It's a Minox. Very rare. Yeah. And what happened is I got this one from the late Dave Starbuck. And there it is. It's a Minox. And if you see these spy films from the, up to about before digital came in.
The microfilm. They're always after the microfilm.
And it was microfilm. That's right. And there it is. It's a Minox. And this one is built, I think, in the 60s. But he had one with the name of the CIA's bloke's name on it. Seriously. And yes, he had an American one. But Minox, I think they were Swiss or German. Oh, no, sorry, German. They were German, Minox. They're still going, Minox, but they do digital now. But you can't. I don't think you can get the film for these anymore. But there it is.
You know, I'm expecting one of these times for you to turn up and there be a white cat on the desk.
It always says about me bleeding polo neck jumper. Yeah, I don't know why. But yes, I wonder who got that one. Minox cameras. Yes, they're very. Well, I think they're collectible now. But the trouble is, you can't use them because you can't get the film. I don't think. You know, and if you do,
I bet expensive. You can get. They have all sorts of specialty film places that make, cut down to size.
But
other film formats.
But I mean, you think about it, you can get digital cameras much smaller than that now. I mean, it's well,
let's be honest. I mean, if you look at modern CCTV cameras, they basically fit in the width of a pencil, don't they, these days, and give high quality images even off that.
The film is expensive because of the silver that's involved in making it. It's still better quality than digital. You can always digital and scan the film from back in the 100 years ago. They restore these films and make something,
Oh,
you know, very
they're,
beautiful because
they're
the
brilliant.
I've got to
resolution.
agree with Patrick. I used to use 35mm
Same here.
Fujifilm and Kodak, and the colours of those far superior to anything digital. I've got a decent digital camera now, and it's no match for the old.
Yeah, I have an old motion picture camera that uses 35 millimeter, the old movie type, and it's a Reflex German made camera, and it uses like
Reflex,
400
yes.
400 foot, 1,000 foot reels of this stuff, but the film is just too expensive to do anything with unless you're making money off of it. You know, you have
I
a
agree
job
with
worth
you.
doing it.
I mean, I've still got. I haven't got rid of it because you can't even give them away. I've got a Pentax. I was very much into Pentax cameras, so I
Yeah,
thought they had the best lenses because they make
I have a
glass
Mamiya.
lenses. Oh, Mamiya, very good. And I tell you what else I got is a Zorki, which was a Russian copy of a very famous 35 millimeter camera that came out before World War II. German one. I can't think of the name of it now.
Leica?
Leica. Yeah, it's a copy of a Leica, almost identical. Yeah, and Zorkis, they must be very rare now. But you have to take the bleeding camera apart and put the film in. It's just, yeah,
Well, I used to have an old Praktika. That was my first.
Praktikas. They were very good
SLR.
because the shutters went that way instead of that way, so you didn't get distortion on it. So they were very good Praktikas.
The one thing also that digital cameras do come into their own is when you're doing night photography, because
Yeah,
I mean, we used to go up to Crewe and stuff far from the trains, and in wintertime you'd lug a tripod around with you for all day for the sake of about an hour's photography once it went dark. And of course the lights on the stations back then were crap, and you'd have although they were white, when you took a picture with the film, it gave a bit of a green tinge to the scene because the cameras wouldn't pick it up as white light. And that's one thing I will say, that with modern digital cameras, that you can pretty much take handheld moving shots now at night if
you get to see the
station's
results
well lit.
a lot easier. You can do it with the film, but it's you know, you don't. It's a hit and a miss. You can waste money.
I agree with you. The thing is, I can only go to Waltham Abbey to do that film that I'm planning on Wednesdays, and the reason why it's on Wednesdays is because it's open and there's less tourists around. Because any other day, there's loads of bloody tourists around. It's a bit empty. But the trouble is, this time of the year, I want a nice sunny day. I don't want to go down there when it's wee and with rain because I don't want to get my camera wet and things like that. But I'm taking. I mean, I've taken my sort of movie camera and also a small one, which will be on the front. So that, as I'm walking along, because without any without any safety precautions at all, I'm going to walk across the Meridian line. Ooh. No, it's nothing. It's just a line on the floor, and you walk from east to west, or west to east if you're going the other way. It's opposite way around. So I park my car in the east and walk across in the west. You see, and yeah. So and I don't really want loads of people around because I mean I've asked them permission whether I can film in there. And they said, yeah, sure, of course you can, which is very nice of them, you know. And I want to photograph Harold's grave. There he is, the last king of England, as I look at it, real one. And yes, and photograph that strange carving on the corner of Miles's shop, which is very weird.
But don't you think that people add to the picture though? I find that with, like, especially with taking bus pictures, that they can add to your pictures and certainly give them a timestamp, because obviously fashions and whatever changes over the years, cars,
Trouble is, I'm a bit
transport around them.
I know what you mean. I'm a bit self-conscious. Seriously, I'm a bit shy. And as for walking through the gardens, well, there's no one around on a Wednesday, you see, so I can talk happily, and there won't be anybody around. But if there's a lot of people around, I'd feel a bit self-conscious doing it. So, you know, I'm a bit sort of, I would say
Do you
timid.
worry what other people think then in that respect?
No, just
No, you gotta
it's
just gotta go out
shyness.
there flamboyant and have your phone, held up
Oh, yeah.
by your hand and be like, "Yes, I'm here. I'm not everybody.
Well,
See, look at
so-
me."
like a thespian,
Yeah.
Okay, love you, stand back, But no, I just blend into the background when I go anywhere. So miserable
But
bastard.
what you need is all you're missing then is a brolly with BBC on it, but just don't get
Yeah.
on that gay bus with it because they might get the wrong idea.
Oh yeah, people will just be running out the way, with BBC off his microphone. But no, I've got. But was it Eric loves taking a selfie? No, I don't actually. I'm again very self-conscious, but I bought my microphone, little thing that you put on your thing, but I got a wired one because I don't trust those ones that you charge up. So I thought, well, a bit of wired one. And but I might actually, if it gets a bit warmer on a Wednesday, I might do it. Trouble is I won't be able to grab my tripod. I might be able to. I might do it by bike instead of car because it's about 4 or 5 miles. So but that's five and a bit miles from where I live. So it's a 10-mile round trip. So yeah, I might do if it warms up a bit. But trouble is, if I come off my bike with my camera on, I don't want to smash my camera up. Anyway, we'll see. See how we do. And but hopefully, if it's nice weather this Wednesday, I'll try this Wednesday. See how it goes. But now Exo says night vision tech is in cameras is now astonishing. Yes, it is.
Well, one of the things I've never understood with camera film, obviously, the higher ISO you use, so you might buy a camera film that's ISO 800 because you want to take
The grainier it is.
low light shots. Obviously, that changes the grain, so you get a lot more grain on the pictures you get back. But with digital, it's just an image. But even like on my digital SLR here, I can go up to ISO 5000, and that's still got grain on it. But when I take a picture, it's just an image. It's not an actual. It's not like it's going onto a piece of film to be developed. And I don't understand why they continue with that. Because obviously with the likes of Photoshop, you can then change to reduce the noise and stuff like that on it to get rid of the grain. But the grain isn't physically there in the first place, whereas it was on the old camera film.
You're right. But mind you, my first camera was a Zenith E, Russian. It was like a hand grenade. And when you took a picture, you went, it's a single lens reflex. I mean, it's bloody noisy it was. Built like I actually dropped it accidentally on a solid concrete floor, and it's still all right. I mean, I think it was modelled on it was from the Soviet times. I think it was modelled on a bleeding hand grenade. Yes, comrades, let's modify this hand grenade into a camera. I mean, just. But they were cheap, blatant, because they were subsidised by the Soviets. So you used to go along to the Russian shop, and where a single lens reflex camera will cost you well over £100, they used to sell them for 30 quid. So, you got a cheap single lens reflex camera, but that was the thing then, was single lens reflex. But not so much now. Although I think with digital, you still can get single lens reflex, can't you?
Yeah, mine are the digital SLRs. But I tell you, that I do find that, especially with the railways now, the amount of people who use phones to take pictures, and we'll go to a diesel gala, and there'll be a loco sat at the end of a train, and you'll have literally people stood right by the nose of the loco to take a picture, and you think, well, how close do you need to be? I mean, when you use an SLR, you need to be about 10 or 15 foot away from the subject in order so it fits in the frame that you're taking. But I think a lot of the skills, again, more skills that are being lost. People just grab a phone, take a picture, and there's no skill involved. It's just.
I agree with you. Mind you, the thing is, I tried photographing when I'm on my bike. The trouble is, it sounds like as if I'm in the middle of the windy city. So, because of the wind. I mean, I was only doing about 15 miles an hour, but it sounds as if I was doing about 100 miles an hour because of the noise of the wind, But that's another thing I've got to practice, and that is just one hand on the handlebar and a selfie stick and talk to the camera, without going arse over tit. So that's going to be interesting.
You can get a handlebar mount for your camera. or for
Yeah,
your
but
phone.
people
Yeah.
look like as if on a bleeding earthquake, you know.
They've got to make some sort of shock-mounted thing.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
2CV, just keep it nice and bouncy.
But anyway, about Charlie Boy. So we got the dates for him when he's
Couple of
croaking
them.
it. Yeah. What about say the kickoff for the Gulf War? I think 2 weeks time, personally. I mean, because the ship's already loaded up the poor sods that are going to get killed there, aren't they? And whatever it is, But I hope it doesn't go ahead. Personally,
Yeah.
What dates are we on? We got 14, 24,
The
34.
problem is you have too many people saying it's going to go ahead, talking like they want
talking it up. But
Yeah,
have you
talking it up
noticed?
like Trump.
All you have to do is look Chinese say, it's every likelihood it could go nuclear. And this is what we're having. Yes, it could go nuclear. And it's all clickbait and fear porn. And this is what I like about Douglas McGregor. He's not so much fear porn. He's very good. He's about the best of the lot. So, I mean, what's your opinion of Douglas McGregor? I like him, Colonel
I like him.
Douglas McGregor.
Colonel
I think
McGregor.
he's very, very good. The other ones, I mean, that bleeding Chinese bloke, I mean, he gets on my bleed. Have you seen him talking about, well, say he's Chinese, he's got a Canadian accent. And it's always, it could go nuclear and this could happen, that could happen. Well, anything could happen, Pigeon could crap on.
Well, I've heard it's
Trump's
already
head.
gone nuclear. They have these mini nukes that they just put up, blow off.
Well,
so I don't know.
Well, the
It's
Gulf
a lot
War
of speculation.
Well, that's right. That's right. I mean, when you look at the size of Iran, it's a huge country. It's massive. And was it 96 million people it's got in it? Enough people, haven't they? Got a big enough army, I suppose.
I think they just don't want us doing business. Us common plebs in the English speaking world or in the European world doing business with the Iranians, because they want the people who have control over trade want to maintain that control over the trade, and the best way is to prevent us from communicating with them and developing business relationships with the common pleb. So they create these wars in order to justify breaking down the communications. And if you want to go from China to, say, Europe, you have to go by land either through Russia or Iran, and they're both at war right now. So I think that's what it is. I've been to Russia. I have friends in Iran.
Hang on a minute. We got saying goodbye to for Alt Radio. So sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
I didn't mean to chime in.
Our listeners can't hear it, but
that's good, because I think we'd get banned if we did. But any minute now, we're going to say goodbye to Food for Thought Radio. And in the meantime, I'm sorry for talking across you there, Patrick. It's very rude of me, but as it yes, I guess who chose this intro music. It was Paul, not Paul. We got on tonight, but Paul English.
And our listeners can't hear it.
I don't think they can hear it.
No, they can't.
If they can, they think we've had beans.
Okay, they can. Here it comes. And good night, Food for Thought Radio.
Wake up your mind, fill up your day. Oink, oink. Smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio. Here at FFTradio.com. Club Moo, oink!
Thank you very much. And now we're still broadcasting on YouTube,
Yeah,
Rumble?
exo. I'm going to address that.
Oh, we did Windy
Yeah,
Miller.
I think it's a bit much. The cluck moo oink stuff gets.
Yes, it does.
It takes up a bit much time.
It does, and it does a bit. Actually, I've got an advertising piece that I put. Where is it now? Let's have a look. See what we've got here. Hang on, I've got to press this, press that. Right, I've got something that I didn't play in case it kept on going and going and going. But I'll see what the people in chat think of this, and it's. I think it needs a little bit of trimming up. Here it comes. Well, it should do. Play. Oh well, it's not playing. That's weird, isn't it? No, it's gone. It's not playing.
So explain.
Yeah, I should have had a jingle going there, but it didn't start. Let's try the other one. No, not running. How weird. Oh well, that's life.
Is that your AI tune that you came up with?
Yeah, the AI tune. It's not all that good, but anyway. But
in answer to your question about the Iran war, by the way, I do have a couple of predictions on that, and this is only guesswork. 15th of April is day 105 of the year. Iran war equals 105. So that
15th of April, that's an interesting one. 15th of April, because I'm thinking the gold prices.
It's tax day in America.
And 105 also equals the Masonic Order. Freemasonic orders. That's a good choice on that one.
So I've got the 15th. Wednesday the 15th. Paul.
15th of April. The other option was the 2nd of April, because 24 and 40, Iran equals 24 and 42. But I reckon that's a bit too close, if I'm honest. But that one makes sense.
Right, so let's have a look. 2nd of April. Let's have a look here. Right, so I'll put down Paul's.
I don't know if Paul English is listening right now, but Food for Thought Radio is silent. Just to let you know, Paul.
It will be now.
If you're listening.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, because we've gone off air, haven't we?
Yep.
War prediction. There we are. So I've scribbled that down. If anybody can see that, go, whoops, my paper's all falling out.
So yeah, a couple of options there.
Yeah, so
105.
So there we go. That's going to be rather interesting. So
do you know what I think is going on with this whole war? There's a lot more than just the sea lanes being closed off and the oil, though that's a huge deal because the Iranians have the ability to do that with the Strait of Hormuz. What's happening? China is building railways into Europe, and they call it the Belt and Road Initiative, and it's been going on for decades now, I think.
Yeah,
at least a decade. And what they're doing is they're going to go through places like Kazakhstan and Afghanistan and have shipping lanes for, like you're able to buy from China, Eric, and you say you can see where it's going.
Oh yeah, you plot it across. It's quite incredible. You go on then and you say track it, and you say, oh, it's there in Russia. Oh, it's there. It's quite interesting.
And it's by train, and most of this. The Belt and Road is, roads and train tracks. And the big thing is getting, from point A to point B unhindered without, and this has been a dream for a lot of people to have that set up so that, you could go from China to Europe or to West Asia and not have to take the sea or take an airplane or any of that.
Well, that's right.
And the big thing though is the people who manufacture goods, they want to have control of what goes on in the market with their goods. They don't want to have to always go to these middlemen, and the middlemen are upset because they're the ones raking in the dough, the merchants. Like your grocery stores and that kind of thing you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
they're the ones making the money because they jack up prices and they give you the inferior product because they have control of the distribution. Well, and they don't want common people having that.
Oh, you're spot on.
And one of the things they've been trying to do is, apart from they don't want us flying anymore, they are trying to use trains a lot more for freight, apart from in this country, because they seem to have slowly stopping that. Yeah, the apparently that's been their long-term aim, is to start using trains more for freight, and that's why and also for passenger, which is why Trenitalia have been trying to get a service in from Italy to London via the Channel Tunnel to stop people using planes, because they
Really?
want people to use trains
But
instead.
what used to be a good idea was that because we had a huge, before beaching, we had a huge train network, was to unload stuff at the docks. It'd all go by trains to central sort of unloading stations, and lorries would then, smaller lorries would then trundle across and deliver the goods to wherever they needed to go, and that would save loads of these bloody great articulated lorries thundering around our country lanes,
Yeah,
and
kind
it
of like the
worked.
Autobahn for
Yeah,
the interstate here.
yeah, that's right.
But of course, the flip side on that though is that we've had a couple of attempts in this country where, like in America, I know you have what they call manifest trains, where it's a train that's made up of different commodities to make up a
Mm,
mile long train. And they tried that in this country. So we had a thing called Speedlink back in the 1990s, where what was classified as wagon load freight. So you might have 3 tankers of Guinness, a tanker of
mm.
something else, another wagon carrying such and such. But because that then took lorries off the road, and the government then wasn't getting tax from all those HGVs, etc., the fuel and so on and so forth, they said, "Oh, it's not making money, so we need to stop that." And then when Wisconsin Central took over in the late 90s, we had a company called EWS, and that guy tried the same thing, but it was called the Enterprise Network, which was a similar sort of thing, and that failed within months of because the government don't want the more lorries they've got on the road, the more money they make from them, from the fuel, from the tax, and so on and so forth. One train would take pretty much all of that off the roads, and they can't have that. It's it, they
What did
don't.
you call it? Wisconsin Central?
Yeah.
Wisconsin, as in like here, state.
Mm.
Yeah, they're called EWS. We had in this country. They're still around, but it's now owned by Deutsche Bahn. But it was formed by a chap called Ed Burkhardt, who ran Wisconsin Central at one point. He was, I think he was actually put in prison because he was basically running Wisconsin Central. Wisconsin Central. He was running it basically on a shoestring, and they had a freight train parked up in a yard somewhere, and one of the locomotives caught fire. But because the engineer out of the locomotive was doing the air brake on every wagon, so he was basically walking down a 2 mile long train rather than having his conductor go out and do that job while he sits in the locomotive.
Right.
When these locos caught fire, the fire brigade turned up, tried putting the fire out, and they released the handbrake on the train, and the train rolled away and pretty much wiped out of town.
Huh.
Bloody hell!
And on the back of that, Ed Burkhardt, the guy who ran EWS and Wisconsin Central, was jailed.
I think you would
Wow.
be. Bloody hell!
I didn't know they had something called Wisconsin Central over there. That's
Mm.
interesting.
That
Yeah,
is interesting. But I think that, could you imagine if America was a bit like the Swiss? Now, I don't believe in conscripting people or having the draft at all, because the Swiss have got a kind of old idea where directly you come to the age of 18 or whatever age it is, you automatically go into the army, and
Yeah, like
you have
Russia
to.
and Iran.
That's right, and you stay in the army as a kind of part timer, because they've got two types of army. They've got the, what they call it now. It's an old idea that they had, and you stay until about 50. So every 2 weeks every year you have to go and do training up
Mm-hmm.
to the age of about 50, and it's a local. Oh, what do they call it? It's militia. That's what it's called. Yeah, militia.
Militia.
And
Yeah.
and they did start in America, I think, when they had that idea, but it's compulsory, which I don't think it should be. It should be voluntary. But Switzerland is armed to the teeth, literally armed to the teeth, and if anybody was to invade Switzerland, even though it's a very small population, they'd be wiped off the map because
Well,
they're
they're
so well
mountains
armed.
too. That
Yeah,
really helps.
That's
And
right.
another thing about Iran and the Persian
Hmm.
Gulf, it's all mountainous along their southern coast there
Oh
in
yeah.
Iran.
Well,
So
that's right.
it's anybody trying to invade them is going to have a real tough time. It's going to be worse than Afghanistan, they're saying.
Well,
10 times worse.
I worked with a Swiss bloke, and this Swiss bloke said that every bridge going into Switzerland has got explosive under it. Everyone.
Really?
And yeah, he said, and they're they've actually got squads that mountain climbers. But what they do with this militia, if you've got a hobby, you can do that hobby. Like there's a bloke who was a pigeon fancier. There's a documentary on television about it. So he looked after, because they still use carrier pigeons, the Swiss Army. And he said it is the only squad where the lower ranks can shit on the higher ranks and get away with it. I have a good sense of humour, but I mean, you can do your hobby in it, which again, I don't like this compulsory thing. But the thing is that can you imagine if America had the same idea, but without the compulsory, without the draft, of just looking after its own country, no gallivanting in any other countries at all. That America would, well, it would be like the 60s or 50s as it was. It'd be boom time. That the country wouldn't spend very much on defence. And same with Britain. I mean, Britain is in a perfect situation because we've got the channel of 30 miles. We're a fortress. I mean, Britain used to have a huge navy and a very small army. That's the way it should be because we got an island. We're an island race.
We're
And
not
again,
anymore, are we, with the Channel Tunnel being opened?
we soon blow that bleeding thing up. And, I mean, let's face it. I mean, so I was only joking there, but no, seriously though, I mean, I can't understand why America and Britain's always gallivanting around the bleeding world. I mean, what's Iran got to do with with America? Nothing. I mean, what's it like on the street actually, Patrick? Are people bothered about it, or couldn't they give a shit? And also, what about protest marches? There's no protest marches at all about this war. Have you noticed any?
No, okay, they're good segue because I this last weekend they had what are called their protests called No
Really?
Kings protests. No
Really?
Kings. And it sounds great, that's American, we're against monarchy.
Mhm.
We're against, rulers ruling us and this kind of thing. We fought the British and
Mm.
won our independence from them. But this is
Yeah.
taking the anti-war movement, the people that are against Palestine, against the war against the Palestinians,
Mhm.
and it's subverting it into this No Kings protest in order to make it seem like these ICE raids that took place in Minneapolis, for instance, where they killed the woman, they killed the guy, the ICE agents going to serve warrants on illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, and it's protesting that. So you have the war going on that was started by Trump and the Republicans, the neocons they call them.
Mhm.
It's a code word for the Israelis, basically in our government, the dual citizens. And then you have the Democrats, and the Democrats are they're pro-abortion, they're libertines. And instead of creating an anti-war movement against what Trump is doing with Iran at the moment in Lebanon, they're diverting that energy into this No Kings protest, which is George Soros type color revolution type protesting, where it's diverting the energy of any anti-war movement into something that's politically charged that most people in America don't really I don't know what to say.
I know
It's
what
trying
you
to
mean.
divide us. It's
I
trying
know
to
exactly.
divide us.
It sounds like a very cunning plan by
Yeah,
the people that we're not allowed to criticise, the indescribables.
right. Because they tend to vote
Splitting it.
Democrat anyway,
Yeah,
and
And-
they're not traditionally Republicans.
but there's not
So-
a peep here. Do you know of any protests? Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to cross you.
No,
but-
no, that's good. You don't
Yeah.
have any protests, do you?
No,
You
I've
get
got
the
not
Tommy
one
Robinson types.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
that's almost a reversal of the no kings thing that we have going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And the thing is that Tommy Robinson, the amount of people that are hoodwinked by him is unbelievable. Because pictures. I mean, for example, if you or I put up for something and we was filmed, say, I don't know, think of a place in France, say, next to the French army. People say, well, hang on, what's he doing in France? Sure, is he something to do with Britain? But he can go to Israel and be pictured in front of the tanks and things like that, and nobody bats an eyelid. Why? I mean,
Yeah.
well, why should he go to Uganda and pose in front of a Ugandan tank or something like that?
Yeah, well, Tel Aviv is the gay, the rainbow capital of the world. You can go and have a gay orgy and then go shoot some Palestinian children and then fly back to London the next day and, nothing happened. It's sick. It's sick when you think of what people get away with.
Yeah.
In this world.
Sam says, in Switzerland, soldiers can, if they ask permission, keep the weapon of the military service at home, but not the ammunition. Very useful as a master if you want controlled opposition. But apparently, you see, I haven't seen it, but apparently you can walk along with your machine gun or rifle over the back of your shoulder, walk along the high street, go shopping with it. Nobody's going to bat an eyelid.
That's in Switzerland. The same with the IDF, though. The IDF have the people slapping M16s on their shoulders. You see these women soldiers in Tel Aviv, going to the disco with their M16. It's just that I don't want to live in a culture like that. Do you?
No.
I really don't.
No.
And I'm an American.
No.
And it's like, no, sorry. I don't think I think we should have a little bit of a higher trust society where we wouldn't need that. I mean, that's the thing you should be working for.
Talking about higher trust, I bought 2 pairs of trousers from a place in eBay, and I wanted one black pair and one denim pair, and they've sent 2 black ones. So I contacted them, and they said, "Don't worry." By return of post, they're absolutely unbelievable. I got a denim pair with an envelope in there and said, "Could you please send the black pair back?" Now, isn't that trusting? Isn't that fair? This is how society should be, where we trust each other. Because that was the, British and American way, really, to be trusting the ordinary folk,
Yeah, like that woman on the bike.
Cricket. That's right.
Going in these countries, that's the way it is with most people. Most
very
people
honest.
People.
I mean, people are good and people are honest, and it's only as I say, the 1%. And Arch Monsay, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. 500,000 marched in London last days. Last few days, actually.
Yeah.
Not one mention on BBC. Oh, so they are marching. I didn't know that.
Well,
that's interesting.
We had them here.
Do you not think that the again, if you travel by trains over here, you have the thing that state sorted thing, which they constantly announce from every station you depart. They always announce it, which is to keep us to make us fearful of everybody else who gets on board, and assume that everyone that gets on board is going to nick your phone or murder you or anything like that. Rather than it's always in our faces, and it's always constant reminders there about.
Well, it's Pantomime of Fear. I mean, it's a bit like I walked across the bus station the other day to go, because I could take a shortcut across the bus station. I was walking there, and there was this public announcement. Please make sure I can't remember it verbatim, but it was, please make sure your packing cases and all that are with you, and no suspicious packages. If you notice a suspicious package, contact security and all this crap. It's a bleeding bus station in the middle of nowhere. What they're on about.
Well, they do it on the trains. They announce that. So make sure you keep your luggage with you at all times. Well, I'm not going to go and pop to the loo and take me all me. I mean, they want people taking their suitcases with them. I can't get in the loo actually because I've got four suitcases with me. But you told me to take it with me, so I've taken it with me.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing which I think that I totally agree with Steve, with Survival Steve. And we don't need government. We really do not need government. The more I
Well, and the
look at
reason
it,
they want to feel needed, and that's they want us in a wartime mentality, like we're necessary. They're guilty of stealing people's money and their hard-earned labor, and they feel guilty about it, and they create fear in order to feel like they're justified, because you have to justify your behavior morally in order to, have
that's awful.
to even exist in this society. If you can't morally justify what you're doing, people are going to eventually say, well, wait, what am I paying my taxes for?
Well, that's it.
And they don't
I
want
agree
that.
with you.
So they got to keep that fear up in order to keep us paying these lazy people that don't work at the top.
Well, they are lazy, and what I mean, I look on most MPs as failures because they were businessmen. Well, if you're a businessman, surely you'd be a go-getter, wanting to make a nice sort of, buy a bigger mansion or whatever, uh, or like Henry Ford, who wasn't like that. He actually walked around in rags, they reckon. Money didn't mean anything to him. He's just happy to build his empire.
Another problem is property, like ownership of land. That's the big key, because if you don't have to worry about, your land being taken away, your dwelling, your house being taken away, you're going to live a much less stressful life. And you're not going to be as dependent on these public institutions either, because you have your land that you can farm, or you can get a local farmer to farm it for you. And you're less stressed out and having to pay the bills and having the women go to work instead of staying at home with the children and teaching your own children instead of sending them off to a government school.
I agree with you.
Free education, public education school.
To be brainwashed.
Yeah, it's brainwashing too.
Morally. I think that is. I'm looking for someone put a question to you, Paul, and I can't bloody find it. Where is it now? And it was about a date.
I was young. I needed the money.
No, it's about no, not that sort of date. I mean, about a date in the future. Oh, bloody hell! I've lost it now. It was here somewhere. I'm just having a look down. But no. About something coming up in the future. But I do apologise.
It Alice asking about the a specific date in June?
Yes.
Yeah, I looked at that, and it's date numerology wise, it's day of the year 166, which doesn't seem to number 166 doesn't seem to mean anything, and neither does 199, which is how many days left in the year based on that. Yeah, I think the 15th of April might be an interesting one though, and I've also got another one as well, which was I don't know whether I should say this out loud. 5th of May for certain Andrew.
Oh, really? Let's have a look. 5th of May. Hang on a minute. I've got Randy Andy here already. So
I've already mentioned that one then.
You must have already mentioned it, and I put down Paul's.
What do you have, a prediction calendar you got going there?
No, just going by the numbers that they like. So I know that 222 links to...
Eric. Eric's... he's got something... You've got something going?
I've got a diary, you see.
Yeah, diary.
So when we come to it, I go like this. I've got an old-fashioned diary, and there it is. So Randy Andy, that's interesting.
So I'd be tempted to put a pound bet on, but of course, if it comes true, I'm prime suspect, aren't I?
You know what? Have you heard of these prop bet sites that you can make these bets on political events happening? Like you're talking about the war, like when are we going to go to war, or when are these attacks going to take place? That's a huge deal. Yeah. Especially in America right now. And I'm sure you have it too. Like presidential election bets, like who's going to win, who's going to win the primary, who's going to win the general election.
It's predicted that Keir Starmer wouldn't last into this year. He's still there, little bastard.
He's going to be there the full term.
I agree with you.
The guy.
I'm stuck with him. Yeah, we're stuck with him. Yeah. And I sort of, I am a right. You remember was that Lee Majors? We can rebuild him. I think Keir Starmer looks as if he's had a brain transplant that's rejected him. So we can put a new brain in. Oh, it's rejected him. I mean, the man is just, Anyway, what's this? 19, another red letter day, the feast of. Oh, hello, mate. It's a star. I thought it was 6 areas. 19th of April is another red letter day, feast of Moloch, death by fire. Oh, hang on. Make a note of that and all. 19th of April.
See,
That
no, I just want to. A lot of these things are so negative all the time.
yes.
As a Catholic, we have feasts all the time. Like these feast days of saints, and where we honor the memory of particular people who lived an exemplary and holy life, and different events that took place in Christ's life as a commemoration. And going back in history, people had a lot more time off from work. You go back to the
Yes.
Middle Ages, for instance, when the church was on top. People didn't work as much, and they kept these feast days holy, and they would, have traditions that they were able to develop throughout time. It's because people followed biblical laws, the morality, the common reason, the common.
Well, it was the mortar that
ability-
held the society together. The religion was the mortar, really, that held it. And this is on another note. I actually think the weapon that the powers that be are using against us is depression.
Yeah.
It really is, because the amount of mentally ill people you see. I mean, I often sit in Miles's shop, and if he's seeing a customer, I look at it, the amount of people that are disturbed. It's quite surprising. I don't know if it's just Waltham
Well,
Abbey
they
or what
want
it
us
is.
to forget that this isn't it. Our life goes on into eternity. And when you realize that, it's like you understand that we're meant to have eternal felicity, where we're living a happy life. This isn't, we're not just here waiting to die, and we're never going to die. That's hell. But
Yeah.
we're meant here to get ready for eternal life. And they want us to forget about God. They want us to make us depressed and all this kind of stuff, because it's easy then to control you, and you don't fight against their whatever they want to do to people. I think that has a big factor in what the plan is, so to speak. That these people, the warmongers that want constant agitation, want people violent and in the streets protesting.
Yes, you're right. But
At the end
you're
of the day, we
spot
still.
on there.
Sorry,
No, please carry on. It's okay.
I was going to say that ultimately they want us all they want to keep us enslaved, don't they? At the end of the day, and that's always been their aim. Whereas we should all, and I've said this many times, that we should all be free. We shouldn't be in this slave
Well, we
system.
can be free. I mean, you can even if you're a slave, you can be free, because your mind is free. Your soul, your conscience, you know that you're justified in the things you do, that they're good, and that you're not a slave to your passions. For instance, like people get obsessed with sex, for instance, and that becomes their driving force. So then they just they get it becomes everything to them, to the point where they lose sleep, and they don't work, and all this kind of stuff. They don't end up asking for a better wage at work, because it's like, oh, you get all the free sex that you want. You can do what you want. You can go be gay and, ride the rainbow bus, and, don't ask for a higher wage though, whatever you do,
You've got a very good point there, because what gets me is that sex is sort of thrown everywhere. And really, when you look at films, I mean, we weren't around, we weren't alive in the 1940s and 50s. It looked a more decent life. Things were more subtle. And there's time and place for everything. I mean, why can't they have little children to be children, and nature clicks a time when they're teenagers, when they suddenly discover the opposite sex and think, oh, if you're a bloke,
and also the parents cared about their children.
That's right.
Parents guarded the chastity of their daughters, until they were married off to a husband who cared about them and looked after their welfare.
That's how it
they
should
knew
be,
they were going
really.
to have children someday that they're going to have to take care of.
Well, that's it.
It's more moral. The seeds for it were back then, for what we've got now, the destruction. But they had a more moral society back then, because they were closer to those original times where the church was on top, and it wasn't a matter of trying to destroy people's morals, and they're going against common reason, or the ability to or practical reason is morality. It's like you know that doesn't lead to a good society. Murdering people who are depressed, murdering your baby in the womb, that kind of stuff.
That turns me sick. What's happening in Canada and well, over here, terminating a birth when a child is born, killing it. I mean, the type of person that does that, think of the surgeon or whoever carries that out. What kind of mind have they got? I mean, it's just
and those children that are being killed, those people being killed on euthanized, they have an immortal soul. They're gonna live for eternity. And it's like, you know what? This is a short life that we've got, and there's pain. Yes, there's pain. There's a test of our strength. It's not something to be shied away from.
That's right.
I mean, life is tough, yes, but the joy that we can have in knowing that, we're good to one another, and that we want to be happy, and we treat each other with respect and kindness, that it's like, what is it about that the people who are in charge hate? It's like they're envious of people who have good things going on in their lives, intact families, all this kind of stuff. It's like, why do they?
And of course, we have free will, don't we? We're not. They sign themselves to an oath, a bit like police constables, really, although they ignore their oath. So with the oath that they presumably sign or swear by or whatever it is, they obviously have to live within that oath, whereas we don't have any oath. So we are, like I said before, we are free beings in that respect, whereas they are controlled by their masters. So
because the money, they may be. Money is a big factor in why they do what they do. Because a lot of these people that corrupt children and the teachers and that sort of thing, they're getting money, they're getting a paycheck, and Steve, if they go against it, they get their benefits taken away.
Steve's come up with a cracker of one here. He says eugenics is a tenet of Satanism, the world's leading ideology. Spot on, mate. Yeah, because nobody has the right to be God, and I don't know much about Russia. But I get the feeling, and again, I could be totally wrong, but I get the feeling that it's a more moral society. It's a bit more like sort of we were in the 60s, 50s, something like that.
Well, I think they have elements of both there, because they came from the Bolshevik the revolt against the monarchy. Let's just put it that way. They had this revolt against monarchy and patriarchy. And that came with a price. And they still have elements of that. Like, you go to Russia and you'll see billboards with the hammer and sickle for the Communist Party. But they're a minority. It's still there. They still have abortion. They have all that kind of stuff too going on. But at the same time,
don't last long.
Yeah, the marriage, easy divorce, that kind of thing. But there are elements in the majority of people where they see the need for intact families. They don't have the crazy, a rainbow bus would be unheard of there, because it's poisoning the minds of children. They look after the children because they know that the children are the future for their country, and they're not going to taint their minds with that kind of stuff. Even though they've got the Bolshevik institutions, the Soviet institutions that are are vestigial, but they're still there.
There'll always be minority.
There's a war going on.
But there'll always be minority groups. But when it comes to sex, people go to the lavatory every morning, but we don't go into explicit details about going to the lavatory every morning, do we? So, look, he's flushing the toilet there.
Right,
but, I mean,
it's a sacred thing between
it's a sacred thing.
That's
right. That's right. It's something that there's a kind of obsession with it. And I think my parents used to say, sex was only invented in 1963. They didn't have it. I mean, it was only in the 60s they invented sex. Before they didn't invent it. But no, seriously, I think that I've got a feeling there's going to be a huge backlash. It's coming.
Well, I think that's where things like that bus come into it. Is that it's another subtle sign to remind people. It's obviously we know that children are being taught about this LGBTQRSTUV, whatever it is, in school, and of course, if that bus is going past on that particular
That's
route
right.
every day, it's a reminder. And luckily, locally here where I am, the operator's actually debranded the gay bus that we did have here. Luckily, it's now been completely debranded. But there's,
Good.
like I said yesterday, most operator or most of the big operators,
Mm.
First Stage and Stagecoach and Arriva, have got at least one at every garage, and there's also plenty of trains knocking about. So if you're ever at like Watford Junction, for example, Avanti West Coast have got a Pendolino that's painted from one end to the other in pride.
Well, again,
And
pride.
again,
It's to do with sex. I mean,
yeah,
it's. I mean, children are looking at that. I'm a bit of a prude, and I'm a bit, and I think, well, children should not be put into that. What's this pride thing and all that sort of stuff? And that's the problem. And you know, uh, they're ramming stuff down kids' throats. What kind of next generation are we going to have?
why don't they instead of promoting this pride thing, why don't they have something like be proud of who you are,
Precisely.
something that's positive? That'd be
Mm.
better. I'd happily see a fleet of buses with be proud of who you are, be love who you are, be kind to everybody.
That's right.
I'd have no problems with that at all.
I'd have no
But
problems at all. And I think that's the thing. I actually think that what they found is that pornography controls people. I mean, the Israelis pump pornography 24/7 into Palestine through their televisions. And
Yeah,
I
rather
actually
than
think
the
that
news about what's going on around them, they get
precisely,
that. So they're
precisely.
just deranged.
And I think that they're trying to bring they're sexualizing children all the time. No, let children have a childhood. Let nature take its course. I mean, I grew up in an innocent time. I'm glad I did. I really am, because I'd hate to be a young child now. It must be horrible. You
And
know.
people are happier with the monogamous father and mother,
Mm,
and
that's right.
they try to make it seem like the more relationships, sexual relationships you have, the greater status you have, or the better
Oh,
person you are. And
yeah.
it's like, well, no, that nobody's ever satisfied. People
Mm,
are brokenhearted, and they murder their children, and then they regret it, and they become deranged later in life.
mm,
And it's like, no, that's not the way it is. And a marriage is the basis of our society.
mm.
And
Yeah.
those people actually are happier, and they enjoy more sex as a consequence too, and
Mm,
more because it's stable, and it's not this going from one bed to another type of scenario where you never have a relationship with people like you should, and so you don't
there's an
know how to relate to
emotional.
people in society.
Those people that do that, something emotionally wrong with them. I think there is a sort of, they're like alley cats in many ways. And I think, you're right. Family life is a happy life. And I mean, I'm lucky that I came back to a solid household with mother and father. I'm glad but nowadays very few families around. Most of are divorced. This is very, very sad. I feel sorry for the children. It must be awful. I mean, I always knew that when I came home from school, my mum was there, and my dad would be home later from work, and my mum was a housewife, a typical housewife. And in those days, the woman didn't have to work because the man could provide for the home, which they can't do now.
so
And that,
I'm saying that
sorry.
same in my childhood. My mum,
Mm,
my dad was the breadwinner, as it were. My mum stayed at home. But
that's
as
right.
but as we got into the sort of the 1990s, then my mum had to go out to work as well to cover the, and so they were
Oh
both going out
yes.
to out to work, and yeah, it's
Oh,
been
it's
going downhill
awful.
ever since, I suppose.
Cover the mortgage, the
Yeah,
That's
usurious
right.
mortgage.
That's right.
And
I'll
that
agree with you
again,
there.
there's the property issue in the land that they want to take away and have it so that they've got, the father dies, some bank has first dibs on the property, instead of
Precisely.
the way the king and the queen of your country have it, so that it's passed down to their children. You have it as the plebs to where, it's whoever has first dibs on the property legally. It becomes all in courts and instead of it within the family, the
it's horrific.
inheritance, like it should be.
And lawyers are making a fortune out of it.
Right.
And
if you don't have a will or a trust set up, you're not protected. Where these rich people can do that. They can afford to have a trust fund divided and set up for the families. That's why you have these rich elite families that seem to benefit, and they never have problems because they had parents that were smart enough, clever enough to set it up legally for them to inherit their property. But the average peasant, they have a mortgage on their home. They've got, like Anorak, you were talking about your parents and having to sell their home because they have to put up, the money to stay in a care home.
Yeah.
And it's like that should be protected by the government. That's a sacred right of the children.
Cradle to grave. That's the way the NHS was started. From cradle to grave, you will be protected. You will get, care and all that. And then what's happened? The government starts thieving and thieving and thieving and thieving and thieving off of you all the time, And it's like I had to pay my car tax today, and it says, what is it? You're a customer. Well, surely I thought a customer was a person who had a choice. Well, if I had a choice, I wouldn't pay the bleeding car tax, road tax, and it's £35 from a smart car, which is about what, $40-50. All right, it's $50, but it says, could you tell us how you can improve it? I said, yeah, abolish government. That'd be a vast improvement.
But the point is, again, this is all down to the straw man, the legal entity, isn't it? Because you don't own your car because you've got registration plates front and back of it. Yeah,
same in the States, I think, isn't it? You're the keeper. You're not the owner of the car.
But if you took the plates off of it, then you actually own that car, and in theory, I think you can drive around without registration plates on. But of course, then that makes it difficult for the likes of the police, because when they pull you over, they've got nowhere. It's just a car. It's then not registered, and it's not.
That's right.
Linked
But
to
gypsies
your
can. But gypsies drive around without tax or insurance because they don't have a birth certificate. And they can get away with it because they haven't got a birth certificate. I mean, I guess it's the same in the States, isn't it, Patrick? You don't own the car. You're a keeper of the car.
Yeah, you have to register it. If you don't have a license plate that's up to date, they'll impound your vehicle and take you off to prison if you don't pay your property tax, for instance.
Is it the same price for your road tax or whatever it is, your plates, in every state, or is it different in different states? Really?
Yeah, so it's cheaper in Wisconsin. You go to Minnesota, it's by the price of your vehicle or something weird like that, and it's not just the system that's set up. It's not your property, for one, which is ridiculous because part of the agreement of having roads is that the people who own the property allow the government to have have roads on their property, on the edge of their property, in order to, in exchange for you having free travel on those roads. It's like, that's the way it should be. That's the way it is. But then they come in, they make greater claims like, oh, well, if you have a vehicle, you got to register it and all this kind of stuff. And then you got to have insurance.
Oh, yes.
Which is a scam.
It's a total scam.
It's a usury scam.
It is.
But that's what capitalism is. It's state-sponsored usury, or it's state-enforced, police-enforced usury.
You're spot on. And Blu-ray...
Sorry. What I do find interesting about that is that cars, lorries, buses, trucks, whatever they are, they all have to have a registration plate on. But trams that can use exactly the same roads as your car, like, for example, we go in Manchester, for example, there's quite an extensive tram network there that uses the roads, and they don't have registration plates, they just have a fleet number on.
Are they state-operated, or are they a different,
no,
private?
They're operated by the Greater Manchester Council, I suppose.
Like a utility?
Yeah. But then the buses are as well. But the buses have registration plates, but the trams don't. I've never understood why trams don't have registration plates.
Do they follow lines? Like
yeah.
But anyway, I think I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a bit because we We lost an
You
hour,
changed
didn't
the
we?
clock.
We
Yeah,
changed the
that's cool.
clock.
I mean, it's
And
not cool. I just, it's nice that we're back onto the regular schedule between
isn't
America
it?
and Britain.
It's great. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for participating in this show. Thanks for coming on, both Paul and Patrick. It's much appreciated. And also everybody in chat. It's been fantastic, really great. And I hope we've all got something out of this. What we can do is positive. And I actually think that we're all frontline troops in this battle, and we've all got skills. Let's use those skills to look at the real enemy, which is government. And above government is the usury scammers. And that's what we're going for, is usury. And very few people know what usury is. That's the sad fact. And if they did, I think it'd be the end of government and usury scammers tomorrow. But that's the thing. And I just wonder what your feelings on that very briefly before we go.
I think that if you had inheritance laws that are biblical, primogeniture, firstborn son, is in the inheritor, usury
Yes.
would be less of an issue because they wouldn't be allowed to operate in the land.
You're spot on. And
That's my feeling.
Paul?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think, just needs to be sorted out. And the only thing I would say is to everyone is try and do an act of kindness.
Oh, yes.
It's amazing how much
Spot
that
on.
makes somebody's day.
And I'll tell you something else, a smile.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
Spike
Oh, yeah.
Milligan said, start an epidemic of smiles. Surprising.
Or just say hello too. You know, a lot of people just walk past people on the street and they never say hello.
Oh, yes. Well,
I
around
was-
where I live, everybody used to say hello, not now. Yeah, sorry,
I
you're going
always-
to say, Paul.
I always say good day because I know that good morning is what you do at a funeral. So I always say good day, which I get a
Yes.
few odd looks, but even with that, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, I'd say good day and I'd just get hello or good morning, whatever. But slowly but surely, as people reply with good day back, it does work. It's getting there. 'Cause it's
People are nice. People are
more
generally
positive.
okay. On that note, thank you very much, everybody, for coming on the show. Thank you, everybody in chat. I'll be on Paul English show this Thursday on Rumble, Paul English Live at 8 o'clock. And please join us then. And of course, this Sunday I'll be on, and next Monday. And if you could kindly shove the thumbs up, tell others, and above all, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.